Welcome, everybody, to the after show for the modern day debate between PhD Tony and Peter Markley versus some flat earthers. One of them apparently is named Nathan Thompson and the other doesn't matter. Anyway, this is the after show. If you haven't watched it, that's what we're talking about. It's on Modern Day Debate, and I will actually be joining the after show on Matters Now. That's what I'm going to be doing right now. So the Matters Now is also live. So that's what we're going to be actually watching and participating in. So I need to set that up here. I got the wrong one. Let me get this. So you're going to see, there it is. Okay. So I'm going to join the panel there, and yeah. All right. So there it is. Anyway, I'm going to join the panel, and when they let me in, we'll see here. Here we go. All right.
MC Toon right up there. We're doing a double stream live show. Thank you for being here. So hello everyone on MC Toon's channel. Let me hand it over to my mom bakes cakes, and we also have Mr. PhD Tony. Thank you so much for dropping by. It's a pleasure to have you with us. My mom, give us your thoughts on the globe side openings, please.
Cracker Tony just killed them all with his evidence. So well done, Tony. You just destroyed them, obliterated them. Cracker Tony just brings his nuclear weapons to these complete morons who had actually nothing, and shows them, gives them the math, gives them the demonstrations, shows what he does with his absolutely incredible knowledge in gravity and his gravinoptics, whatever it is he uses to his work, that he actually uses during his work to actually find shit. And they go, oh yeah, but nah, it's not gonna work. Nah, that's all I had. You know, what done, Tony? Kill them again. Whoa.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. How is everyone?
Really well. It was good. Thoroughly enjoyable debate. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And your argument about the earthquake waves, that's one of my favorite arguments. And you're pretty much, because it's your field of expertise, you're the only one that brings it to the playing field. And I love it. It's just so great and incontrovertible. It's fantastic. So let me hand it over to MC Toon to give us his thoughts on the globe side openings.
It was great as always, Tony. Fantastic.
Thank you.
The earthquake propagation times are hard evidence. Things that are direct measurements of the shape of the earth. It's not things in the sky. They don't get to complain about that. It's not calculations. It's not assumptions. It's pure measurements that then, after the measurements are taken, the consequences of them are put together, and they absolutely have to avoid talking about the topic because they don't comprehend it. It's way beyond any flat earther's comprehension, number one. And number two, there is no flat earth rebuttal to it. So those that may perhaps someday work hard to understand it, they can't touch it.
Can't touch it. No.
That's what I try to achieve anyway. Did the animation work well? The animation of the waves coming in from northwest of America and going across. Did that work well for everybody?
Yeah. It showed really well. Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
No, don't worry. I was just going to prattle on for a bit. Go on to the next panelist.
No, I think we've all done the globe side openings. I think Peter's opening is, even though it wasn't the first time that I've seen it, it's so good that it never gets addressed, which is a fine thing. Like, I just love it. When you make a point and it doesn't even get touched, that's a win. That's just waving the white flag, as Toon says. I'm sorry I stole that.
Oh, yeah. It's okay.
Do you mind if I add one thing too about Peter's point?
Go for it.
I really liked how simple it was. Like, I think, bringing the math is necessary from both presentations, bringing the evidence to the claim. It's not just conjecture. Also making it simple, because you're talking about very complex things that lay folks don't understand. They're just not going to understand what these things are. So you have to make it really simple. And I think that Peter did a really good job in making the stuff simple for people to digest. I really liked his visuals. They popped out, and they were very simple and direct. And it allows audience who may not know a lot about this stuff to kind of get it. And he put simple mathematics, kept it very simple and direct. And I think that that's what's needed for this topic.
Yeah. So, on the other hand, we have flat Earth opening. So let's did someone say something? No, I think I just heard myself. Never mind. Flat Earth opening. So let me start with my mom bakes cakes, and we'll do the inverse round.
Yeah, I've got evidence of flat Earth, so I'm going to show it with evidence of the globe Earth with the sun setting. Nathan, why put it up there? I was like, what the heck? Why is it that every time flat Earthers bringing evidence to go, oh, this is they use Google Earth to point out where they are, to point out where it's going to, and they're going, are you guys serious? So yeah, they're insane.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much. I'm going to hand it over to MC Toon, but before that, Max, the MVP of our audience, gifted 10 Matters Now membership. Thank you so much, Max. Now, let me hand it over to MC Toon for his thoughts on the Flat Earth side opening.
They had an opening? I must have missed that part. I heard them ramble on nonsensically for a while, but I wouldn't call any of what they did an opening. If they intended to present evidence that should convince somebody to think that the Earth is flat, they completely skipped that part, because none of what they did actually suggested the Earth is flat. Instead, Nathan does whatever his useless thing he usually does, but Angel's attempt was the classic. It really shows how incredibly stupid flat earthers are, because the bottom-up obstruction is what we claim across water, for example. We don't claim that it gets too small to see. We claim part of it is blocked, not all of it. Part of it is blocked, and they've redefined amongst themselves in their echo chamber what they think our claim is about things being obstructed by the horizon. It goes back to Aristotle, who saw boats getting obstructed as they got farther away, or as they're coming in, you saw the tip of the boat first. These boats were large enough to see with the eye because they were tall sailboats. So you have the light colored sail against the darker colored sky, for example. So you could see those things. There's enough contrast to see them. So you just see that the top of the boat, and as it got closer, you saw more and more of it. That's what we're talking about. Not the zoom that's too far out to not see it. So flat earthers have the burden to find something that's partially obstructed by the horizon when you're not zoomed in, and then zoom in and have it come back where you see less obstruction, and that's never what they have.
Yep. All right. Thank you so much. And let me welcome here, Peter. Thank you for being here. We were just covering the globe side openings, and we got some very positive feedback on your opening, very simple, straight to the point, and you also correctly identified that your points didn't get addressed, and that's a win. That's definitely
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, anytime. I was also saying that you're becoming one of my favorite flat earth debaters to watch, and PhD Tony is a legend as usual, and obviously MC Toon.
It's always a delight when we have somebody with an actual degree and an actual job like in science. That's always fun.
Yes. IT Spin for $2 says PhD Tony's train tracks can't be refuted, so they run. Yeah, they take the train and they go away. But yes, that is PhD Tony's is one of the most effective debunking presentations that there are around that, the earthquake waves, it's just so correct and good and to the point that I just love it. So let me hand it over to DJ Batman, who is in space to trigger the flat earthers.
It kind of looks like a VR chat avatar.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Oh, it is? Okay, awesome.
Yeah. I actually just came back from the moon. It was a long trip, but I finally made it back. So
Nice.
I swear, every time I listen to flat earthers, I feel like I get dumber, to be honest. Especially the part.
Can I offer you some tab? I'll have NASA send you some. It protects the brain against that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I definitely use that. No, but the one part that I did want to bring up. Now, I'm not an expert, on this at all, but like I thought it was interesting when I think it was Nathan was showing a pilot actually talking, and I thought it was interesting that even though the pilot was actually, showing him with the actual like the pilot stuff behind him and stuff, was actually trying to combat what he was saying, and he like cuts him off, saying that, oh, well, they don't need to nose down. But
welcome
like,
to Flat Earth.
Yeah. But the thing that I don't think flat earthers understand is that gravity exists, and when you're up high, it's wanting to pull you down. So instead of nosing down, you'd want to pull back, to keep that altitude, of where you're going, because the gravity's trying to pull you back down. So you'd be actually trying to go up, not down, and then when they talk about up and down, like, like for instance, that's down and that's up, but there is no up and down in space. It's, the only down is towards the core of the earth, and up is up towards space. So, it's like they think that just because somebody is down here, they're upside down, but they're not upside down. They're relative to everybody else on the earth. There is, and I will say this real quick, there was an episode of My Name is Earl, great series, but they meet this one guy where they're in his room and they're like, your globe's upside down. He goes, no, it's not. And he holds it up and he's like, let's say, and he holds it sideways, an alien spacecraft's coming, right? Well, to them, that's the up and that's the down. But if they're upside down, well, now the part that was originally down for them is now up. So it's like there is no up and down.
Or just for a person standing at that specific point that was facing up at that point.
So it's just like they don't understand what up and down really means. Like they just think that just because somebody's down there on the bottom of the earth, they're upside down. It's like, no. It's just, but the whole pilot thing, it's just funny how they like bring pilots on, and even when the pilots are trying to say more or debunk what they're trying to get across, they just cut them off. But that's what flirts do is, they don't want to play the full thing. They only want to clip out what they want, which is dishonest. So
yeah,
cherry picking is one of the traits of a science denier.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. All right, let me hand it over to Isa for the flat earth side opening.
So I saw both of them. I saw, I'll start off with Nathan because he went first.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like Nathan started off doing a filibuster. He didn't actually have a presentation in the beginning. So he was filibustering, and he basically was just kind of mocking. He was mocking the globe perspective and, basically trying to say, hey, look how dumb this is. The way that you're thinking is completely off. He started talking about curvature. Then he started showing a video. He showed a video at a certain point, and some pictures, and he put some mathematical things up on the screen. But it's like weird. The way that I think about it is that both him and Angel, what they do, because I don't know, not everyone knows here, but I did a flat Earth debate here where I played a flat earther called Ambassador of Christ. My name was Ambassador of Christ. So I played a flat earther where I basically manipulated scripture. That's how I started off, as I manipulated the scripture to show that the earth was flat. Then I also, the next thing I did was I talked about Tycho Brahe. I talked about ancient science from, centuries ago, millennia ago. And I brought pictures up, but there were better pictures than the pictures that I see in these debates, where they were like hand-drawn pictures of what a flat Earth looked like. I'm like, that looks more compelling than just taking photos outside. I'm like, I don't know, that doesn't look very compelling for the argument, but that seems to be the same standard, is let's take pictures and this shows that the Earth is flat. And that's what both of them did. They had these pictures and they said, look at the curvature. Look, this shows that the Earth is flat. And I'm like, I could take pictures and just say, let's look at a plane. I'm like, and it was funny. I was talking about you, PhD, Tony, where I was like, oh, I've been to Australia, and I said, I really liked your accent too, because I spent time in Adelaide. But yeah, I was like, yeah, they were wonderful people. It was a great time. And I went for like an honor society. So my field is social science. I don't do the hard sciences. So I have like a degree in teaching. So like I was a special ed teacher for several years. And so I taught like high school science and high school math. And my experience is like, we need to have evidence to produce whatever perspective we're doing. What I saw in the flat Earth debate, both of them, is what they did is they kind of they did like a rhetorical technique like I did, where I was like, okay, look, here's evidence, but I'm not actually using the evidence to produce my claim. It's kind of like how do I say it? It's like a window dressing. So it's like, hey, look at this window dressing. I'm gilding this space, and it looks like I'm really intelligent. I know what I'm talking about, but I don't actually really know the subject. It's like I read Spark Notes. And instead of actually knowing, let's take Shakespeare, right? You read Shakespeare, but you don't really know the plot of Shakespeare. So you read like a Spark Notes, but then you start sounding like you're really smart because you read.
Or you ask ChatGPT about it.
Exactly.
Oh my God! Yes.
You can ChatGPT Shakespeare or ChatGPT Great Gatsby or any kind of literature, right? And then you're like, hey man, I'm really smart. I know this book, but you really don't know the book. You just know some of these highlights. And that's what I see with the mathematics. They don't really know the math, but they take the math out and they're like, look, I'm so smart. Look at this diagram. Here's this formula. And that's the brilliant thing, because if you ask them, can you tell me how this formula works? How does it provide for your argument? We don't need to talk about that. That's not relevant to this conversation. I'm like, oh, that's interesting, fascinating argument. But the real thing is, it's like, what I think the flat Earth position is, having been a flat Earth debater, it's a rhetorician. It's like being a lawyer in court, and it's kind of like what is that? Like a hypothetical. It's like a hypothetical scenario, and you're like, hey, can you argue for this position? That's what it sounds like, but it's not actually like really based on anything sound. Like after doing it, I researched the best arguments for flat Earth, and I'm like, this is not good. You have ancient science that's being manipulated. You're using ancient spiritual stuff, ancient religious things and you're manipulating it. And then the greatest thing is you take photos. You're like, here's photos. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to hog the time, but there's one other thing I wanted to mention too.
They take photos and don't understand photography.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So Nathan, he said, I did lots of experiments. And I'm like, Nathan, brother, why don't we do these experiments together? Like, that's how we can know. If I do an experiment in my house, how do I know that experiment's real? I don't know. It's not peer reviewed. I'm like, that's what you do in any science, social science, hard sciences. You have to some kind of peer review. You have to test if this information's accurate. Just because you did it, how do you know? Maybe you didn't understand some of the variables. Are you an expert in this field? I don't feel, and then that point of like degrees, like people are like, oh, the degrees. I'm like, that's not the point of the degree. The point is when you're saying someone has a degree, it's like they went through a rigorous space of doing this work. They had to be tested by a professor. They had to go through this whole, they had to go through this trial by fire, let's call it like that, to get to this point, to get a master's degree, to get a PhD, to get a bachelor's degree. It's hard. It's not easy. It's a financial strain. It's a mental strain. It's a physical strain. There's a lot of things that are required to do this. And when people just laugh at it and say, oh, that's nothing. And I'm like, but brother, you didn't do this work. You didn't make that effort. And you're coming in and you're mocking people who did make this effort. And there's no one. And the biggest thing about what happens when you go to school is that you don't just get away with whatever you say. Your teacher, who's a professional in this field, will test you and say, hey, is this accurate? Are you actually doing the right thing? You can't just say whatever you want and then you get accepted. But if you don't have that, you can. So I think that's what we need to consider. Thank you.
Well, I think that, may I expand on that for a little bit?
Yeah,
because I think that's an extremely good point. So you don't need a degree to properly understand a discipline, but you do need to have some demonstration that your understanding is correct. And there are a couple of ways of doing it. One is having your understanding examined, tested, and you demonstrating it to the satisfaction of the examiners. Another one is some sort of real world accomplishment that shows, that demonstrates to everybody that you do understand the topic that you're pronouncing on. And those are the two main ways of demonstrating that you know what you're doing. Flat earthers do neither. They haven't had their expertise independently assessed, nor have they any real-world accomplishments. They haven't done any navigation. They haven't calculated any distances. They haven't done any surveying. I think that this is a great point by Issa. If you don't have that, then what you're basically saying is, trust me, bro.
Yes. For anyone interested, I am going to leave the link for that debate where you can see Isa role-playing as a flat earther. I'll leave the link there in the side chat. And let me ask Chase Hatch. Oh, Chase said he came in a little bit late. So what I like to do when I have the debaters on is to ask them what if they feel they accomplished what they set out to do with their presentation. So let me start with you, Peter.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, let me mention I did invite Nathan and Angel here, like you asked, but they both turned me down. Big surprise.
Aw, chickens.
Nathan don't want none of this.
Oh,
predictably, Nathan, said, "Well, if you're going to pay me $1,000 for my time, then I'll go."
He's going to get sliced up. His time is worth exactly nothing.
It's what he says every time. I think he even said it a couple times during the debate about something. Anyway,
I'll just say, you can just say, I charged $2,000, so you actually owe me money.
There you go. Yeah, so I mean, what I set out to do was, I guess, not that different from other debates, and so my presentation was very similar. I did add that thing at the end about the conversation with me and James about their points being off topic, and then I heard from James that Nathan was whining that we weren't that we were withholding our information. And I don't know if that, I don't know. I hope that had the effect that I was intending. But anyway, I was just trying to sort of take away all of their excuses. And yeah.
Well, what were they going to do? If you had handed them every single bit of your presentation beforehand, what would they have done? They lack the capability of analyzing it. They right? If they could understand it, they could not have a rebuttal, right? Because why does the sun set, right? That's your thing, the robotomism versus ancient cosmology. And they brought up ancient cosmology. Like, you don't get to invoke ancient cosmology because your model, your idea of flat Earth is in contradiction with the ancient cosmologies. It's not the same.
Yeah.
And one more thing I might add, if they had the capacity to analyze the claims, they wouldn't be flat earthers, because they would realize, that's correct. And that would be,
give them all the time, it won't do anything.
I just enjoyed saying this argument of mine has been out there for 5 years. Why are you complaining that we didn't spoon feed it now?
Yeah, such a weird thing, because I understand if you're going to do the heavy formal type of debate, doing that, okay, we're going to exchange citations and analyze, give other enough time to analyze the claims, find potential holes or misunderstandings, that's fine. But this is just like a YouTube debate. You go with what you have, and that's it.
I mean, I was fine with making it a little more formal. It's just that it was hilariously dumb the way they, their arguments. I tried to show it in the screenshot. I think that their arguments their argument list was mainly just motion of Earth and Coriolis effect. And it's that is not about the shape of the Earth. That's off topic.
Yeah. So Tony, let me ask you the same question. Did you think that you fulfilled your purpose with your presentation?
Yeah, I thought the presentation went well. I thought that I covered most of the points that I wanted to. I felt happy about it, but I guess the true test of whether or not it hit home is actually with the audience rather than me. So if there are any suggestions on how I should improve it or make things clearer, I did want to sort of dispose of the "we see too far" style of arguments, which seemed to be Nathan's go-to. I did want to say, look, that's going to get into optics, and both sides can actually invoke optics to explain away their observations. Which makes this entire body of evidence not exclusive. And I'd rather talk about other evidence, but it didn't seem to take.
No, but I think you did great, and the support from the audience was 64%. So I think it was great. So now I left you to for the end to give us your thoughts on the flat Earth presentations.
I thought that they were extremely disappointing. Nathan spoke about himself and his history as though this had any sort of relevance to anybody. Nobody cares. Just present your evidence.
But his Facebook group.
His Facebook group. Yeah. It is somewhat sad that he's still bemoaning the lot. Still in mourning about the loss of his Facebook group. It was also ironic. It was also ironic to hear him sort of advise everybody to subscribe to Dave Weiss's app, particularly given recent events. That was quite strange. But sort of the thing that struck me was when Angel and Nathan sent sort of a brief précis of their presentations, and Nathan's was, well, they were both one sentence long, in which Nathan managed to put an insult. So setting the standard for good behaviour. But what struck me was that Angel's presentation was nothing to do with what he said he was going to be talking about. He said he was going to present footage of a plane and show that it that it experienced no Coriolis.
Oh.
That's not what he did. That's not what he presented. He presented pitch controls and claimed that therefore the Earth is flat. That doesn't follow. The isobars are curved. So yeah, I thought it was a nothing burger from both of them. To be brutally honest, I was kind of expecting something at least. Well, I was kind of expecting something less stupid from Nathan.
Wait, they wanted to exchange, like, what was the scope of what they wanted to exchange in before you received it? Like topics or content?
They wanted to us to tell them what our main lines of argument were going to be.
I have the timestamp for when I showed that screenshot of that email exchange. It's at 12 minutes 51 seconds in the debate live stream.
Okay.
Yeah, and they. It sort of Angels was, I'm going to show footage of a plane traveling for an hour. It doesn't experience any Coriolis. And Nathan's was, we see too far, and every attempt to demonstrate that Earth is moving has failed. Which he didn't even touch in his presentation. That wasn't a thing, a topic that came up at all. So I was, it was weird that they had bothered to do this and then just didn't stick to it. Nor did they prepare anything. I mean, the whole thing about us taking them by surprise with our presentations, we could have done, because they didn't respond to them at all. Like the point was, they were supposed to prepare for the arguments we were going to present and have counters to them. They didn't.
I think it's about 30 seconds after that.
30 seconds? Okay.
About 12 minutes, 51 seconds is, there it is. There it is.
Sorry.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, let me pause that. If you would like to read it, I'll leave it up for a little while and we can continue talking, and then people can pause it, go back to it. But yes.
It's possible that even after telling us they would refuse to change their arguments, they did start to think better of it. Like, wait a minute, maybe this is a little off topic. But I don't know, maybe that's giving them too much credit.
And while we're at this, I took a couple of snapshots from the debate that caught my attention. Where are they? Pictures, screenshots. Okay, here. So Nathan did this during the debate. He was leaking a booth, which was so much. I was like, what?
Oh, you're not showing that, Max.
Oh, it's not. Oh, sorry, because I'm sharing the window to the YouTube. One sec. Window. This.
You know, as someone who has done a lot of drugs in their life in the past, Nathan's on something.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, you have to cope somehow.
Well, one thing I will say is, when you're on a bullet train, it's definitely not moving, since you can't feel it moving 100 miles an hour. It's sitting completely still. It's not moving whatsoever. You just magically get from one place to the other.
Yeah.
Can just hold a glass of water and the water stays level even in the even in the bullet train.
And I mentioned Japan mainly because they actually have a train that's specifically dedicated to go up and down the tracks to find any issues. But like their railways, because I watch videos from a couple people that lived in Japan for the last 10 years, and every time they're on a bullet train, it's like nothing is moving. It's just still. So it's like, so I guess they're not moving since they can't feel it moving. You know, I think it's 400 or 500 miles an hour. You know, so.
Oh, but do we account for the jet streams behind the, the train?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, we have to. It was you're cooked.
Thanks for playing.
Thanks for playing.
Welcome to Flat Earth. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, if they didn't pat themselves on the back, nobody would.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, and it's a routine thing that flat earthers do. I mean, Ross Perry also, goes on about how many millions of points he scored against you or whatever. They're constantly declaring themselves the winner.
Witsit does that.
That's not how anything works.
Witsit does that so much.
Yeah.
What caught my attention was, can any of you guys confirm, was Angel narrating over his videos, or did he kind of make a compilation and let the videos play?
That was not him speaking in real time. He had pre-recorded himself onto the video.
Oh my god, that's
why the voiceover was like ear bleedingly loud. At least it was to me.
Here's the thing.
So lame.
Hasn't James said in the past that you're not supposed to do that? Like, you're supposed to actually like talk, not like make a pre-recorded video.
Yes, James.
I think that was mostly for Howard. Yeah.
Yes, the crazy dude, he would do that, and he would say, "No, Howard, you can play the video, but you have to talk yourself. You can't just."
Yeah.
It would never occur to me to wonder if that's allowed or not, because I would be too embarrassed to even consider doing it, even if it was allowed. Like,
I thought so, because I was left in doubt, and I couldn't really like. This sounds like it's recorded, but I couldn't really tell.
It was.
And now Icy Spin says he totally tried to pass it off as legit by removing himself from screen. So yeah, thank you for confirming that.
Can I?
Oh, look at this, so cute. This has been a great year for Flat Earth.
Oh, but Hakeem. It's literally one of the dumbest Flat Earthers ever, Hakeem. Thank you so much.
So I usually describe it this way. We have Flatzoid, who is bottom of the barrel, and then we have Matthew Hakeem, who is the bottom of the barrel in which Flatzoid's barrel rests. How far down Matthew Hakeem is.
We should get Hakeem in here. He'd be good for a laugh.
Yeah, one thing I will say, though, one Flat Earther has actually been gaining a lot of respect from us, you know, because he's at least admitting that if the final experiment does prove it, he's, you know, it's like, that's the thing. It's like, if anybody's willing to be like, hey, if this is wrong, if I'm wrong on this, then it's definitely going to hurt what I've been saying. But the fact that so many other Flat Earthers are now going on this like tirade of being like, oh, we never claimed that at all. We never did. I don't know what these people are doing. This is an experiment. It's an observation, even though there's going to actually be people doing actual experiments. It's like, it is an experiment. You just don't want to accept it because it's gonna.
That's a great segue to this. Question for the panel from Chris Burns over at MC Toons stream says, what do you all think of Grifter Flat Earth Dave rejecting the free trip to Antarctica?
I
who
think
would like to start?
I think it's typical for Flat Earthers to do that, you know, because here's the thing. If you're not willing to look at stuff that may go against what you believe or what you understand, to be honest, I don't think you really care about the truth. You just care about pushing what you think is true, you know, and I think it really just comes down to the fact that, you know, people have such a mistrust for the governments and stuff, which, you know, everybody does. But there's a point of like having mistrust, not trusting the government, certain things, and then just going down an absolute conspiracy rabbit hole. Mm-hmm. So, you know, but.
Their blue talking cat thing makes sense.
It's VR chat. Come on. You played VR chat, right?
Plus, you have to blame me because I'm standing in front of the Earth. So
hey, at least it's better than Horizon Worlds.
Yeah. So
who would like to take a crack at this question?
No, I'll
say real quick, like when your entire persona and being is invested in this one thing being absolutely true, when you're faced with something that can absolutely disprove whatever you're saying, that's probably one of the most terrifying things you could ever feel. So that's probably something to do with just their whole mindset. It's got to be terrifying to face reality.
I could perhaps offer a little bit of affirmation of what you're saying from a different perspective here, because some of you know I'm a young Earth creationist, and having a minority view on something like that, there are moments where if a person asks me a question that I don't know the answer to, or I see evidence presented that I don't know how to explain, where there's like this feeling in my gut, like, oh no, you know, what if What if my worldview is based on something that's not true? It feels scary, and it's like I do my best. I try to listen to that feeling and to lean into it. Like, wait a minute. If I care about what's true, I will follow this and learn, and because I don't want to be like flat earthers.
Yeah.
So I will just say that sort of there's a lot of confusion about what my actual expertise is, and it's glacial isostatic adjustment, or the deformation of the Earth and changes in Earth's gravitational field in response to large surface loads like ice sheets. And there, because of the what happened in the last ice age or the last glacial cycle, there's still signals that are ongoing due to that. As a result of which, sort of, I understand. I studied the shape of the Earth. I use techniques from seismology to model this, but a lot of our data is actually paleo sea level data. So it's data about how sea level has varied through time into sort of the geological past. And so I've got a lot of expertise with geochronological techniques, because you need to understand them in order to properly interpret the sea level data. So it may sound a little bit presumptuous, but there's a lot of very solid scientific data that sort of precludes the possibility of a young Earth, and we can have a talk about that. In fact, Toon a few weeks ago asked if there was anything else that I can talk about that isn't flat Earth related. I can talk about geochronology, I can talk about sort of climate physics, and I can talk about glacial isostatic adjustment and paleo sea level. So these are things that I can sort of speak on with some expertise.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
So cool. That is so cool. I think it's very telling, and I saw someone, as I was moderating the side chat on MDD, saying, "Hey Nathan, why did you reject a free trip to Antarctica?" So, and Mark Sargent was there, and a few people asked Mark Sargent the same question because he called himself a truther. And
Mark's not a truther. Mark's a grifter and a coward.
Speaking of Antarctica, or were you finished with what you were saying, Max?
Yeah.
And Issa has his hand raised. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Peter.
Issa was being more polite than me.
Okay.
I appreciate you, Peter. Yeah, my comment's quick. The thing that I feel about all of this, is that there's I don't know how to put it. It's sort of like a cult. It's like a sort of religion that is pure. It's the religion of flat Earth. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to use whatever it takes to believe in this religion. And there is no way that you can disprove it, because it always has to be right. And the problem is, it's not saying, hey, I have faith in flat Earth. It's being presented as a science, which I think is a problem. If you just said, hey, I have faith that this is true. I believe in this interpretation of scriptures that reinforces belief, and I think that would be fair. And you're like, look, I believe this is my faith. I don't know why you would debate it. Because you would probably take the position that this is my faith, and that's it. And I think that would be honest, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But if you're coming out and you're like, hey, all of these people are lying to you, they have, and he mentioned this too, Nathan mentioned the 666. He said 666, and he's like, look at the numbers are here. I'm like, it's a kind of like a trickery. And that's what I felt too. I was like, he's trying to use these religious argumentations, and he's trying to say, like God is behind him. And I find that to be problematic. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. He's got on his TikTok profile, friend of the creator. And every time I see that or think about it, it's just,
it's sick. Yeah, it's not.
He's got no fruit at all, except bad fruit.
Anyone else want to take do you want to say something regarding the question, Peter? Go ahead.
I just since the final experiment came up, and the flat earthers always say, like, the lights in the sky don't prove the shape of the earth or shape of the floor. What did you guys think of the, like, it was like my last point in my opening statement, the one with the Statue of Liberty pictures. Did you guys think that was good?
Yes.
I thought that was a good argument. I also thought your analogy of the dirty window and the clean window was actually a good one as well.
Oh, thank you.
Sort of, if we've got to look at evidence that can distinguish between the two cases and can do it clearly. Yeah. And this is one of the reasons why I don't like the optical stuff, because both sides can invoke optics to sort of explain what's going on, and they do so routinely, and I kind of prefer to stay away. But, that analogy put it very clearly, I thought.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I also have to credit Michael Toon, because he helped clarify for me the history of how they've used that argument about the lights in the sky. Mm-hmm. There was something I heard him say once. So,
and I did want to say one more thing about Dave is, I think the other reason why he's rejecting going to Antarctica is because he's got to make money off of his app. I mean, how is he going to get people to pay the $3 and then have to pay an annual subscription? How else is he going to make money if he's proven wrong? It's like, do you
a rich potato?
Do you think so? The fact that he refused to go tells everybody that he knows that the sun will circle. Yeah, because if he thought that it was going to do something else, he'd sign up. So he knows 100% what's going to happen. That's why he rejected it. So do you think that he's planning a change to the app while we're there, so that it changes it and it's not that map anymore, because that map will be garbage? Yeah. No flat earther will be able to use that map anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, he might try the coffee cup caustic, which I know that Nathan brought up, which always makes me laugh, because, like, if you actually think about it, like, if the sun wrapped around that part of the Earth to be in Antarctica, it makes no sense, because that means you'd be able to see the sun, but yet the people in the darkness can't see the sun. It's just like,
it doesn't make any sense.
How does this make any logic? Like...
we will see the sun. We will take pictures of it with the P1000 to get the sunspots. Yeah. So if it's reflected off the magical dome that nobody's ever substantiated, then it will be mirrored. We'll be able to identify if it's mirrored or not. We all know what's going to happen. Yeah. All the flat earthers actually know what's going to happen too, because they wouldn't be scrambling if they thought something else was going to happen. So you can't say coffee cup caustic. You can't say reflected off the dome. They can't say simulation, because simulation doesn't work, because simulators can't simulate sunspots. You can't say 4 suns, because one would set and the other would rise. That's not going to happen. We're going to have multiple cameras doing full 24-hour a day recording.
Yeah.
So all of those things are done.
Yeah. Well, what's even interesting is, like, I see flat earthers all the time saying, like, all the videos in Antarctica showing a 24-hour sun are fake. Yet there's literally a video. I think it was posted, like 8 months ago, something like that, or a year ago. I forget exactly when. But it's a full 360. Like, you can literally on your phone actually, like, spin the video around.
Yeah, it's a VR.
See a full 360. Like, I've even shown them, like, 360 videos of them in the International Space Station, and I've heard them go, "Oh, well, it's all CGI. It's Photoshop." I'm like, you know how hard that would be to do that on a 360 camera? Yeah. On a regular video,
you can't.
Really easy. 360, that's extremely difficult, because like on 360 cameras, you always have that little line where it's all trying to piece itself together. If you try to go in and edit that, that's going to go away, and then you're going to know, wait a minute, something's not right here. So
we're going to have 2 of those cameras recording for 24 hours. 2 of them. One vertically this way, so it gets this direction and that direction with the seam here, and the other one orthogonal to it, so that the seam is 90 degrees off. So when this one has the sun going through the seam, this one does not. So you can look side by side and say, nope, they're not doing that.
See, that's smart. I didn't think about that, but that's actually pretty smart. To get rid of that seam, because unfortunately, I love 360 cameras, but they just have a hard time with that seam. Yeah. They just haven't quite gotten there yet. But
It's sometimes so hard to get my mind in the mind of a flurf, like what would be convincing to them. Because like from a scientific point of view, I started to think, well, you could also just point a camera at a mirror ball. Oh wait, like you'd capture the sun that way, and to a scientist, it would be fine. But
Yeah.
Yes. IT Spin for $2 says, Ryan, I told Daddy James to fire of 2024. Yes, I got that. That was great. I already texted James because people are insulting me too much. Just like went and insulted everyone and let's move along.
he kept calling me triggered, and then he seemed so triggered that he got so quiet. Oh my gosh.
Well,
my
how many
favorite
times?
insult.
How many times did they call you intentionally the wrong last name? He doesn't have the right to complain about being insulted. He was insulting from the get-go.
It was even in my screenshot that I showed of the emails. Like before I even exchanged a word with him.
My favorite insult was sun worshipper, because I'm an atheist, and to me it would make more sense if you worship the sun, which is something that is there and you can see, than worshiping God. So sun worshipper is not an insult. It's like, okay, yeah, you worship the sun, that's fine. It gives us life, it keeps us warm, it brings us day, it gives us the seasons. It's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense to worship something like that.
There have been sun worshippers throughout history who were smarter than flat earthers.
Yes. And IT Spin strikes again and says, if your evidence is too good, it's ignored. Paradox. Yes. And I think that today that describes Peter's whole presentation and some very big parts of Tony's, because Nathan's only rebuttal was like, oh yeah, it's just red dots on a thing. It's like, dude, that's just a representation of the data. It's like, I get it that you can't acknowledge that's true.
I think Tony's presentation was smarter enough that it was like a little less accessible to them, so it was easier for them to ignore. Yeah.
I did have a question about the tetrahedron presentation that I sort of unveiled later on. Did people find that effective as a demonstration?
Yeah,
I felt like I was learning watching your presentation. I thought it was excellent.
We all did.
Okay.
Yes, but it's geometry of math. It's like
Yeah. I think if there was anything I could offer as a suggestion, it would be from my personal like sort of experience trying to be in these boxing rings, and it would be like, if you want your argument to be a little more accessible to the idiots in the boxing ring with you, I don't know. There's something I do where I literally write down and script what I'm going to say during the presentation and just read from that. Right. I don't know that that's something that would work for everybody or what, but like, I don't know. It might help make them less able to say that they're bored, and stop listening or whatever.
Right.
If you don't like reach for words, with those like few seconds of space in between things now and then. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I was aware that I had a lot of stuff to cover.
Yeah.
So I was trying to do it quickly. But also, I don't really care about the flat earthers that I'm talking with, because I consider them lost causes.
Yeah.
They're not going to be cured by anything I present. But I'm hoping that if there's anybody in the audience who's having, who's being tempted by this, sort of I'm really hoping that sort of I can reach them. And maybe I need to be more accessible for that to work. One of the greatest compliments I ever received was somebody saying that they had a friend who was flirting with flat Earth, who thought it was stupid after watching my debate with Whitsitt. So yeah, I'm really proud of that one.
I think you did excellently.
Cracker Tony, crack circle again.
Yes. We have a bunch of Derp from Matthew Hakim, so I'm going to save all of that and we can tackle all of those together. But But Max strikes again and gifted 10 more Matters Now memberships. Max, you're so awesome. Thank you so much. That is absolutely great.
Hey, Max,
All right,
you want to throw some of that my way?
So
Now, can I say about with Nathan? He was yawning when Tony started talking somewhere near the end. I think this guy has no evidence, and yet Tony's presenting stuff, but totally disinterested. Like, show some respect, guys.
Well, I don't care. You know, he's obviously doing his own clown stuff. He was looking at his watch all through the thing, and I just stopped looking at him because I don't care about and this is probably rolling his eyes because that's not actually the attitude you want if you're trying to educate somebody, is to not care. But I don't think that I'm never going to succeed in educating Nathan or Angel. So that's not how I'm looking at this.
it is a conundrum. Like you can make the attempt, but at what point can you do you need to just accept that they will go like nah and just continue on? Even
that's how they lose.
Them. Oh yeah.
My question too is, what is the intent of debating this topic? And I actually agree with you, PhD Tony. I think the position is not that you actually want to find out what the truth about something is. It's more about, hey, there are, in my opinion, looking into this narrative, I didn't know anything about it, honestly. I didn't even really think about it much. But when I came to this space, I started to learn that a lot of people do. I think what it is trying to showcase that these folks have the special knowledge and everybody else are being deluded. It reminded me of this, actually, it was a Christian movie. It was called Apocalypse. And it was about like this resistance against the organization. It was like there were several Apocalypse movies. They're like kind of like,
was that in like the late 90s or something?
Yeah, it's like a B.
I might have seen that when I was a kid. I might have seen that. Oh my gosh!
So in the movie, I love these kinds of movies. In the movie, they're like hacktivists against the evil organization, and then Satan comes to like trick them into cyberverse. So this is early internet, and basically one of them was like paralyzed, and the other woman was blind, and then Satan gives them like the ability to like, they have to take on the mark of the beast, and then one is able to walk and the other one is able to see, and but they're all evil. Like they become evil because this is satanic. And I feel like these flat earthers are like, hey, we are prophets. We are prophets of truth. And we are the prophets that are coming to take you away from the evil satanic science. And this is a part of it. All of these things are satanic. And that's kind of what I get from it. Is it's deeper than that. This is like an evil, because like I've seen debates between Christians, like a Christian who believes in flat earth and a Christian who doesn't. And it's interesting how like, and even like other folks like Kent Hovind, like when he debates, he will mock the other Christian, say, you're not even really a Christian, even though this person has all the Christian beliefs, all the Christian values, but on this scientific perspective, they don't agree. He's like, you are being deluded, like from Satan. And I'm like, that's how intense I think this situation is. That's what I see. So, PhD Tony, I don't think you're going to get that. Your only argument is to the audience. You're not going to persuade your interlocutor because your interlocutor thinks that you are invested in Satan. Just being honest, that's what I think.
Yeah. No,
all right. Thanks so much.
Anyway.
Thank you so much, Isa. We're going to hand it over to MC Toon for just a moment, who's going to read out some super chats from his stream. So, hello everyone on MC Toon's channel. I love you.
Hey, thank you, Max. So I put on the top of my the comment. The live chat is a link to your channel, Max. So everybody go over there, subscribe, jump in back and forth, do whatever you want on the live chats. Enjoy both sides. So Icy Spin said Tony's wit was only superseded by Angel's lack of it.
Yes.
And then PhD Tony, whoever that is, says that Tony guy can be a bit hot-headed. I love that.
Let me say that moment where you said, "Shut the fuck up, Nathan." that was just like, yes. That was just great.
Oh man.
Bearded Logic is a new member at Newton. Thank you for that. Monkey Cat Pat then says that wasn't word salad, that was word vomit. Yes. And then we got Roger that says 4 months, not bad. It's a member super chat. He's been a member for 4 months. 4 months, not bad. Getting there. You get excited / nervous for the trip yet. I am all of those things for the trip.
Oh yeah.
I actually, for lunch today, I met with a flat earther from Facebook. I had challenged him to a live debate in person, and he's like, he messaged me, said, "You'd beat me. Let's just meet and have lunch." I'm like, okay. We had a great conversation. He was really nice. His name's Cole. So hi, Cole, if you're watching this later. Loved the conversation. And what was I going to get? Oh yeah. So he asked me about the trip too. And so I feel like, do I have it on screen right now? There it is. 35,000 out of 40 is the current tally for the fundraising. So,
oh wow, that's so good.
There's no question I'm going. And so, yeah, I mean, this is happening 100%.
You put in so much work for that too.
Well, I feel the weight. Like, that's a car. That's a nice car that people have said here to me. And I'm like, holy cow, I really feel that. So I'm putting in what I can when I'm there to give back as much as I can. So I'm planning things. I'm doing fun stuff. I hope that I'm not going to say. I'm doing everything I can. So
will your cousin be putting in an appearance at all?
My cousin, yes, my ugly identical cousin McFlatty keeps begging me to put him in my suitcase like the acrobat from Ocean's 11. I'm like, no, there's no way. Have you seen him? There's no way. Yeah. That big old dumpy guy, there's no chance he can get in a suitcase. Not that it wouldn't be funny to just have him be locked in a suitcase like that for 24 hours. Being a flat earther, he'd have plenty to drink.
Does anybody know if I refresh this page, is it going to kick me out?
Yeah.
I just created an account on StreamYard because I couldn't join the chat, but I'm not logged in on this streaming page right now. So I was going to refresh it, but I'm anyway, I don't want to take
your YouTube, but it's fine either way. You can go back, disconnect for a second and come back. It's no biggie. But okay. It will disconnect you, yes. And while you do that, let me plug in. Here we have MC Tunes GoFundMe. So if you can spare $1 or $2, he's almost there, 35,000. So just a little push, and he'll get there. So check that out. And I've also shared his other link, where he has been detailing the fundraising and the spending. So everything is so transparent. So
yeah,
I'm
the receipts.
So happy for you. It's so exciting.
I'm excited. Nate and Max, I'm gonna have to lean on you a little bit for some translation, but offline. Can I, while I have the floor here, can I show a little something? They were talking about planar surveying, right? And they imagine that planar surveying somehow helps them, and they're like, for this small surface portion of the surface of the Earth, planar surveying works, and you can assume the Earth is flat. Yes, but only for that small portion. But it's actually not even as good as they think it is, and I'll show you why. You're seeing my okay.
Yes, let me make you big.
So here is a book on surveying, written by a professional surveyor. This is the 8th edition of it by Francis Moffat and Harry Bouchard, right? A book on surveying by professional surveyors. And here we go, right in the introduction here. And let me zoom in a little bit there. So the surveying operation of leveling takes into account the curvature of the spheroidal surface in both plane and geodetic surveying. The leveling operation determines vertical distances and hence elevations and differences of elevation. So right here, we see that leveling in planar surveying takes into account the spheroidal surface. So when they talk about planar surveying working and somehow being, they're like, and there's that much curvature. Well, good news. The planar surveying takes into account vertical measurements and it treats it for spheroidal. So they're not neglecting the curve in planar surveying when they're doing leveling. The only thing that they're talking about is for horizontal measurements, and horizontal measurements are, I don't know if this is the place you want to go over it or not, but you've probably seen it if you've been on TikTok, because Baron Rutledge has gone over the actual application of what it means to be, to do planar surveying horizontally over 100 square miles, which is 10 miles per side. But the difference is incredibly slight. So,
all right.
There
it's funny how they bring all this.
Yeah, they
super weird stuff.
They don't understand it. They're ignorant of the topic. They just look at the cherry picking.
Look, he's so adorable. So surveyors do not observe curvature. They assume it. When we assume, it makes an ass out of you and me.
It makes an ass out of Matthew. Yeah. They do measure it, actually. In fact, they measure it.
And now that we have Matthew on the spotlight, Matthew, you begged for it. MC2 rematch on MDD.
We didn't have a match. Matthew, you started out before the debate by insulting me in a way that you shouldn't insult somebody. So I don't know why. You're a human shaped garbage bag is what you are, Matthew.
Yep. Yeah. And then this show is not a neutral debate platform. Funny how there's a link right there that you could have clicked at any moment since you came in here and you chose not to. And we're open to anybody who wants to come in here, and we'll be respectful, we'll treat you nicely. This is not an echo chamber. Anyone can come here and push back against us. And push back, you can say your piece. The problem is that I have to rein you in because you have zero self-control, like a lot of flat earthers, and you don't like that. Max, I'm sorry, you're an atheist. I've been an atheist since I'm 5 years old. You don't have to be sorry about anything. It's my choice.
I also think it's funny how we literally put the thing in the chat for people to come on, but yet the people that disagree with us never seem to want to come on, and the ones that do, always just want to be obnoxious, and then they get muted, then they unmute themselves, and they get muted again.
Yep. Max V, the MVP of the audience, says, Matthew, if your God existed, he would send you to hell for being dishonest.
He was always Matthew was always interrupting when I was on, so there you go.
Yeah. It was crazy. DJ Batman has been a member for 4 months, but he's been here from the start, and it's now a blue thing. A brown thingy. Love it. And then Derpling asked, "Can we get to the moon, MC2?"
Of course. We've.
You want to go to the moon? I can go there right now. I was there last time.
Yes.
I was in front of the moon lander. Do it.
Do that.
Nobody has ever even attempted to address my presentation on the gravity that's measured on the moon in the live stream from Apollo 15 of the hammer falling at the appropriate gravity for the moon. Nobody will even touch it.
And when it comes to Craig, his argument about the rooster tails, that also never gets
I'll never touch it.
Not even addressed. So
I love Kyle Adams just like, you haven't convinced me, therefore you won the debate, therefore I win the debate.
Oh, I was busy that evening and I didn't do the after show, and I was so sad that I didn't, because that was so good. That was so good.
That was
So
a gem.
now we're going to talk a little bit about the open discussion portion of the debate, and I'm going to hand it over first to the TT guy or the IT guy. I'm sorry, I'm kind of blind. Welcome. I think it's your first time here.
Thank you. Yes, I can just vouch for the fact that you can just bloody well click the link and you'll arrive in the show. I was wondering where the link was going to take me, and here I am. So, yeah, very exciting. Where's Nathan Thompson been? I thought he was dead.
You're too hopeful.
It's a shame that that's proved to be false. But anyway, yeah. Sorry, perhaps I shouldn't show that on tape of the show. Oops.
Now, let's not wish harm on them, even
No.
if they are pieces of trash.
Naughty.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I take it all back. Yes.
did you
He's a very nice man.
Did you watch the debate? Give us your thoughts on the open discussion portion of the debate.
Well, I mean, I thought it was hilarious how they were crying when they're getting interrupted, because it was an open discussion. That's how an open discussion works. You say something stupid, I tell you you've said something stupid. So, yeah. Don't interrupt me. Boo-hoo-hoo. So,
Yeah, that was funny. And the part about, oh, you're accusing us of lying. It's like, well, the solution to that is maybe stop lying. Yes.
They can't.
They can't.
But they want to get away with it. That's what they really want. You're interfering with their recruitment process.
Oh, that was very apt identifying that. And the other thing that you did that I thought was so good was when Nathan plugged the Derp app, how he said, hey, maybe don't do that because it's leaking information all over the place. I think that was so good.
I mean, I have to credit MC Toon for bringing my attention to that.
Oh, yeah.
I think. I mean,
incredible work.
Somebody did it that wasn't me.
Well, I'm just the messenger. It's a group of people that some of them will probably, poke their head up, but the one that started, came to me at first, has received some very disgusting threats from the potato guy, and is very happy to not be in the public light because of the threats that Dearth made.
Oh, really?
That's awful.
Yeah. And the reporter, as we have taken to calling this person, has so far said, no, don't publish that email. I have screenshots. I have the actual raw source of the email. So and they're like, no, don't do it yet. Maybe in the future. But I can confirm, in fact, that the font that Dave has chosen for himself is, no kidding, Comic Sans. It's in the actual style of the HTML portion of the email.
Right. Oh my.
So Max, I did a thing there. If you want to click on that one that I put up for this is specifically for Matthew Hakeem. There you go. And all liars.
You read that. Yeah. Revelation 21:8. The cowardly, the unbelieving, the vile, the murderers, the sexually immoral, those who practice magic arts, the idolaters, and all liars will be consigned to the fiery lake.
So sorry, Matthew, you're screwed.
And then right after you said that, he said this: MC2 is too cowardly to face me on MDD.
You got kicked off of MDD.
Yeah.
So I have debated Matthew, and Matthew is my poster child for least productive conversation that I've ever had. It's not that he's a bad person per se. I say that.
I disagree.
And as I say it, I realise the nature of the accusations that he made against MC Toon, baseless allegations that he repeated to MC Toon, which I regard as pretty disgusting behaviour. But he seems a well-intentioned person in general. He doesn't think through the consequences of what I think in that situation, he didn't think through the consequences of repeating somebody else's allegation.
Right.
But he's just got nothing to say. It's all just assertions. There's zero attempt. There's not even a fig leaf of evidence. There's just and assertions. That's all you get out of him. And you're seeing it here in the chat.
Yeah.
He just asserts stuff. There's no rational, why should we believe you? There's no attempt at evidence. And seriously, I guess I got to present my evidence, but I wouldn't recommend anybody debating Matthew. It's just not a useful use of your time.
Correct, but he's so dumb that it's entertaining for a little while.
Oh yes, he's fun to laugh at. So keep it up, Matthew. We love laughing at you.
Yes, exactly. And then it says, talk about stationary Polaris. I'll hand it over to MC Toon because MC Toon has this one like all ready to go. So let me put you front and center. Let's talk about Polaris.
Polaris being non-stationary. On my website at mctoon.net/Polaris, note that I'm citing evidence, are measurements of Polaris's position in the sky going back about 300 years. Polaris moves. Today, Polaris is about 1/2 of a degree from the center of rotation, from the actual celestial pole. That's 89.5 degrees is its declination. 300 years ago, it was around 88 degrees in declination. That's 1.5 degrees position movement. It's provably moving. So once again, that consigns you to the lake of fire, Matthew.
Mm-hmm. Can I add something too? Even Answers in Genesis engages this. Do you know Answers in Genesis?
Oh yeah,
folks. Yeah. So I want to share the screen for a second just to show this. Because this is Answers in Genesis, like a very Christian.
I'm a big fan of Answers in Genesis, by the way. Not necessarily their politics, just to clarify, but yeah.
I actually went to the Creation Museum, so it's an interesting thing. But look, this is what they say. Does the North Star Polaris prove the Earth is flat? Flat Earthers make two false claims about Polaris, also known as the North Star or Alpha Ursae Minoris. One of these false claims is that Polaris remains motionless in the sky, as all other stars circle it. This is the impression one gets by watching the sky over several hours. Even long exposure photographs and time-lapse videos seem to show this too. However, appearances can be deceiving. Examining claim number 1, Polaris is motionless. The sky appears as a dome above one's location. Since most celestial objects rise and set, it is easy to understand what we see at any given time is just 1/2 of a celestial sphere. There are two diametrically opposite points on the celestial sphere, around which all astronomical objects spin once a day. In the conventional cosmology, these 2 points are an extension of the Earth's rotation axis to where it intersects the celestial sphere. We call these 2 points the celestial poles, except at the Earth's equator. Only one celestial pole is above the horizon. The North Celestial Pole is above the horizon in the Northern Hemisphere, while the South Celestial Pole is above the horizon south of the equator. Polaris is about 3/4 of a degree from the North celestial pole. So each day, Polaris makes a circle in the sky with 3/4 degree radius. That circle is too small to be readily noticed by the naked eye, and it is too small to be recorded by most photographs and time-lapse videos using standard camera lenses. However, if one uses a lens that greatly magnifies the view, such as a zoom lens, then Polaris's daily motion can be recorded. I have done this several times by removing the lens from the digital SLR camera and attaching it to the 127 millimeter f5.2 TeleVue refracting telescope at Johnson Observatory on the grounds of the Creation Museum. This telescope has a focal length of 660 millimeters, a bit more than a Nikon P900 and P1000, cameras that flat earthers like to use. The aperture, so this is an important point too, what are these cameras being used? The aperture and optical quality of the TeleVue telescopes are much greater than the super zoom bridge cameras because of the long focal length. The field of view in the photograph is quite small, a little larger than a degree vertically in the landscape mode. Consequently, it is not possible to capture the entire circle that Polaris follows in photos with this telescope. That doesn't matter because it takes 23 hours, 56 minutes, the side reel day, for Polaris to complete one circuit. And nights where I live aren't nearly that long. Therefore, I can capture, at best, a little more than 1/2 of Polaris's daily motion in such photos. Rather than a single long photograph showing trailed motion, I take many short exposure photographs to produce time-lapse videos. I had done this several times for Polaris, but until recently, those time-lapse videos spanned only a few hours. I made this video from 1,165 images that I took on the night of April 14th, 15th, 2022. I attached my Nikon D5 5600 digital SLR camera to the telescope. The camera is programmable, which allows me to take photographs even while I'm asleep. Each photograph is 13-second exposures with ISO 200. For proper noise reduction. Each photograph was followed by a 13-second dark image, and I placed 15-second delay between each photo, so the recorded images were 42 seconds apart. The time-lapse video spans 10 hours, starting in the evening twilight and ending in the morning twilight. The sky background is much brighter than I would have liked, with the moon nearly full. Astronomical full moon was about 36 hours later. Along with the brightness lights of the suburban Cincinnati, Polaris is the brightest star in the video. Early in the video, you will see that the lights of the airplane that passed through the field of view. A couple of times later in the video, the background became very bright, and the stars blurred a lot. This was due to thin clouds passing through. The clouds dimmed the stars and made them fuzzy, and the bright moon and the city lights illuminated the clouds, making the background bright. Toward the end of the video, you will see a slight jump in Polaris's motion. This was caused by a slight gap of a few minutes in which the battery ran down, whereupon I changed the battery, as you can see. Polaris moved in nearly half of a circle in this video. Therefore, flat earthers are wrong when they claim that Polaris remains motionless. See?
All right. Is that way? Give me the link on the internal chat, and we can share it to everyone. So if they want to see the video, because I don't want to get in trouble with Answers in Genesis over showing their video. But Matthew,
I doubt they would mind.
We're actually promoting them.
Yeah, we're
saying,
good.
hey, from a Christian point of view, they're disagreeing with these people who are claiming Christianity.
Yeah.
That author of that article has also written a book, Falling Flat, and I've actually corresponded with him about that book because I found like one or two very small clerical mistakes in it, but it was a great book.
Danny sent me a copy of that book. I'm rearranging my office here. It's buried in a stack of books in the corner there. I'd grab it right now.
And then, of course, Matthew had to go the way of the derp and said, first, as you were reading, he was commenting, see, You just said it. The sky is a dome, Matthew.
Appears.
There was a word there. Keyword appears.
Matthew's lying again.
Like,
Lake of fire for you, buddy.
I did. I did
and then,
want to.
one sec, Batman. And then said, "Okay, Polaris makes a circle in the sky. That's too small to notice. I got it. It's stationary."
Nope. Here, can I got something that's funny. If I can,
go for it.
If I could show. So, if the dome thing that flat earthers are so in love with is the case, so here's their derpy map, right? Is that in focus? Let me see here.
Let me make you
That's
big.
Better. All right. So here it is. So the dome, sits up here and then comes down and somehow sits around the edge here on Antarctica. So now this distance here from the center to the outside, well, the definition of the meter is based on this distance here. And the line, the meridian line goes right here. This is the where is it, right? The prime meridian goes through England right here, right? That's not it. It's here. I don't know. It doesn't matter. This distance from here to the equator is the definition of the meter. 10,000 kilometers is this distance, making this distance out to here another 10,000. So this is 20,000. The whole distance across is 40,000, right? So we've got a diameter of 40,000. So I'll write this down here. Diameter 40,000. Now, kilometers. How big is the circumference now around here? Well, this is for everybody except for Matthew. This is going to be pretty easy. Circumference equals 2 pi r or pi d, right? And diameter is 40,000. So that means that the circumference all the way around where the dome comes down and sits is what? How much? Anybody have that quick? Anybody? I have it.
25.6 thousand kilometers.
Yes. So we've got the circumference. There you go. 125,000 kilometers. Now, so if the stars are embedded in the dome, as Matthew believes, with zero evidence, and then that dome then must be rotating, how fast does the dome have to be rotating as it sits here? What's the speed? You take this, divided by 24, that gives you the kilometers per hour is 5,236 kilometers per hour. That's how fast.
Antarctica is a place of fire.
That's how fast the dome resting on the ice at Antarctica has to be rotating in order for this dome to be moving once a day. 5,000 kilometers per hour. Now that may not mean much to somebody that can't do the little bit of conversion between kilometers per hour and miles per hour. So let me help you out. Kilometers to miles.
3,000 miles an hour, 3,200.
There you go. Yep. 3,253 miles per hour. So when flat earthers are like, you're moving 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, the dome is moving 3,200 miles per hour around Antarctica. How the hell does that happen?
You'll lose your arm.
How does that happen, you idiots? You're so dumb to think that.
That is, I had never thought about that. That is so good. And also, like, where does it rest so that it rotates? It creates a whole bunch of problems.
What kind of bearing is it resting on that it can move that mass, whatever mass it is, a 40,000 kilometer wide or 26,000 mile wide dome with water behind it, right, is resting on top of what and moving that fast. How does that happen?
Magnetically levitated, like the bullet trains we were talking about.
Somehow.
Or etherically displaced.
There you go.
It makes
oh my gosh!
zero
Imagine
sense.
the torrential winds it would create.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It would just be stirring the whole atmos or whatever they call it.
Yeah. One thing I did want to do, because I found this through my travels on this great program, but this is an accurate representation of the International Space Station actually going around Earth. Like, here, let me do this real quick. Let me grab my camera.
It's CGI.
So if I move it over here and turn my camera this way, you'll see there's this little Earth here. The dot shows exactly where the ISS is right now. Originally, it was a bit lower while everybody was talking. But if this was not accurate, right, and wasn't what it's supposed to be, then that means that if you're looking up into the sky right now, well, no, currently not right now because we're almost over land, but once it's over here, like, you should be able to get a telescope and actually see the ISS exactly where it's supposed to be, where it's showing it. So, and they even have this neat little model here, which, I know a lot of people have a hard time, especially flat earthers, understanding distance. Move that out of the way. This actually shows you got the Earth there, you got the moon. I mean, look how far that is. See, it's like they don't understand the distance, between the moon and the Earth. It's just way over there. So it's just, and that's why I like things like this, because it actually gives you a good idea of how things work, and the people that made this actually did a really good job, at kind of showing you, all that kind of stuff. Because as you can see, there's land over there that the ISS is about to come up on. So,
Batman, J. Birdmax says, love the blue talking cat thingy. But yeah, MC2 and I were both familiar with Astronomy Live and Rhetoric, and maybe a lot of people on MC2's audience are too. And both of them have tracked the ISS, and they have videos on it.
Yeah.
So it's not really a problem. You get the tracker app. It will tell you the ISS will go over your house X day, let's say next Thursday. And then you point up your telescope at the position that the app told you, and lo and behold, the ISS does its transit, goes really, really fast. But yeah,
I also really enjoy Space Engine for visualizing distances. I especially enjoyed when I was able to use that in VR at one point. My wife helped me set that up. She's more of a nerd at that stuff than I am. But that was just mind-blowing.
I need to set up some of that on my Oculus Quest. It's number one, but that would be fun. So we did a little bit of let's say an intermission. Let's try to pull it back onto the open discussion portion of the debate. So let me start by asking PhD Tony and Peter. I'll start with Tony. How did you feel that went, and what was the most memorable part of the open discussion part for you?
Well, the thing that sticks in my mind was just the stalwart refusal to accept criticism. I tried to make the point, that if you've got a body of evidence that isn't exclusive of one hypothesis or the other, you should start looking at different evidence. And it just had no effect whatsoever. I thought that Angel was unexpectedly dishonest in the way he would try and
I should have warned you about him. I'm sorry. I've had run-ins with him before.
Right, but I wasn't prepared for the way he would try and twist words as though that was a meaningful.
He's awful.
That's what really stuck out at me. I didn't sort of. To me, it just sort of. I'm not necessarily happy with the general discussion. I don't think I kept it as focused as I could have, but that may just be me. But unfortunately, like, my head's starting to hurt a little bit, and I need to go eat some food. So I have to take off. But I'll be listening in the background. So
thank you so much for coming, Tony. It's always a pleasure to watch you debate. And that clip of you yelling at Nathan Thompson, just shut the fuck up. That warmed my heart. That was so good.
It was Team Skeptic.
Well,
you remember Team Skeptic?
You can join all of the other clips of me losing my shit with flat earthers. All right. Take care, everyone.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Take it easy.
My mom used to have a phrase, it's enough to make a preacher cuss. She would use that to refer to something that was very, very frustrating. And if anything is that frustrating, it's definitely flat earthers.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty cool. All right, let me hand it over to you, Peter. Same question, and then we'll do the rest of the panel.
Before I answer that, I just want to apologize if you've had to click me in through the backstage like 10 different times or something. I was trying so hard to get the chat to work on my browser, and I even tried switching to a different browser. It will not work. There's something broken with my account, I think, but oh well.
Oh, that's too bad. But you don't have to apologize. It's okay.
I assumed that was like you had to click through every time.
But it's no biggie.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
So the open discussion. Yeah, I came into this with pretty low expectations because I'm familiar enough with Nathan and Angel that as soon as James said those names in the email he sent me, I was like, oh boy, this is not going to be a good discussion. I think let me see what I said to him in my email. It was modern date. Where is that email? Here we go. Yeah, I said, ugh, Thompson and Angel have got to be some of the most toxic bullies on TikTok. With good moderation and a bigger audience, maybe it'll be okay. I'll bite. So I was like, this is going to be miserable, but it's probably worth it just for like the fun and the clips and the I don't know, all of the good stuff. And so I was trying to focus on that and not let Nathan and Angel get to me because I've had run-ins with them on TikTok. And so maybe with my lower expectations, I was less disappointed than Tony. It's like, it was sadly predictable, sadly predictable.
Every flat earth debate is.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. So let me hand it over to my mom bakes cakes. Hasn't spoken in a while. Give us your thoughts on the open discussion portion of the debate.
Well, I don't speak much because I'm patient and I listen and I'm careful of what other people say. So, yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
The open discussion, again, flat earthers, they don't bring anything. They just rebut anything anyone says, and they look they don't have anything. That's it. When they present when they do present any kind of evidence, it's always evidence for the globe anyway, and they just don't realize it, and which makes my day smile anyway. So yeah, when Krakatoni comes on and destroys them, and when Peter with his excellent explanations comes on, it makes us look so much more fun because they have absolutely nothing to rebut. And when they do present something, again, it's always, they're using stuff that we use to predict, where we're going to be tomorrow, and MC's tune about the sun. Yeah, that doesn't happen on flat Earth. So thanks.
All right, thank you so much. Let me hand it over to you, MC Toon. Give us your thoughts on the open discussion portion of the debate.
Oh, the fact that neither of them would touch either Tony's or Peter's presentation is, as always, predictable. And Peachy Tony had a pretty broad bunch of things, and for some debaters, and even more so on modern day debate, my kind of idea is to have one thing. Because if you give them a bunch, they will only respond to one thing. No matter what, they'll respond at most to one thing. So if you're going to have them respond to something, pick the one thing that they're going to respond to by only presenting the one thing, and take all your time. This is just my opinion on it. Take all your time drilling in that one thing. And Peter did that perfectly.
Thank you.
So, and they absolutely will not touch it. And that tells everything. That is, as we said, that's the white flag. You know, they only want to go and talk about their topics. And so one tactic that to just use in the open discussion is to just constantly bring it back. But you didn't touch this. Let's talk about this. So jump in right away when the open discussion starts and say, my evidence is unchallenged. Are you going to touch it? And then they won't touch it. And then say, why are you not touching it?
I think the sweet spot, or my personal preference, is 3, because you give them kind of an option, and even if they only address 1, you still have 2 that you're victorious on. So not that it's going to happen on the flat Earth, but if you make 3 points and even 1 gets refuted and just 1 gets addressed, you're still kind of on a positive balance. So, but just personal preference. But yeah, I think that keeping it short short and sweet is the best. Not the shotgun tactics that Angel used, that he talked about a bunch of stuff, didn't show any evidence for it, just showed like clips of videos.
Clips of him bullying other people, basically.
Yeah, it was crazy. So let me hand it over to Isa, you there? If not, Batman, give us your thoughts on the open discussion portion of the debate.
Well, I mean, typically, people that actually are for the truth and actually know the evidence, it's basically always going to be the same. No, sometimes I do learn new things, to be honest. But, when it comes to flat earthers, that one's basically the same. It's just the same rhetoric over and over again with no actual evidence. Or when an experiment does come along, they all of a sudden run away, So I do wish that more flat earthers were going to go to Antarctica, but it seems like they'd rather run and try to protect their money than actually learning the truth and, trying to change their belief system, because at the end of the day, if you're not willing to challenge your own belief system, it's like you're not really doing anything. But, I always love Peter's video of when he's holding the light and moving in different places. That's actually, I really like that one. That one's a good one. And I think it was Nathan. Was it Nathan that showed his own, where he just put his camera down and walked away, showing that see, things do sink under. It's like, oh,
he walked 2 steps.
They're so. If again, do the actual apply the consequences of that. Like if he's 10 feet away and he's obstructed up to his knees, then how much obstruction would there be in a mile, right? At a mile, there's no obstruction, but he showed obstruction at 10 feet. So there would be 1,000 feet of obstruction at a mile, but we don't see that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just funny. And even when we have actual things, for instance, the ISS, We can actually see it in space. But then flat earthers, want to do the typical, oh, well, it's being held up there by planes. One plane will come up, take its place from the other plane, and I'm like, well, I've never seen a plane attached to the ISS. So, but
it's unsubstantiated claims is all they have.
So it's funny to watch them, run in circles, thinking they're doing something. All they're doing is just digging their own hole while they run in those circles. So
I've also never heard of a plane that can travel at 17,000 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because, like I said, this isn't accurate to where the ISS is supposed to be. And already we are, we're about to leave the US. We already went from over the ocean near Mexico, and we're about to fly literally over the United States. We're almost over Maine. So, and again, this isn't accurate to NASA's actual database of where it is. So, like you'd be able, if you were right now, like had your telescope out, you could see it right now, from where it's at. So it's just the fact that we can do stuff like that, but yet flat earthers can't do anything of actually proving their stuff. Like whenever I've had a conversation and I go, okay, well, if there's a dome over the earth, who's cleaning it? Because with how much, like coal and other stuff that we burn, it would dirty the dome. So like during the day, it would start to look smokier and smokier. We wouldn't have the blue skies anymore. It would look more grayish, so it's like, who's cleaning it? It's just,
I don't think that's that's not a thing. Cause there's no air, right? You go up a couple hundred miles, there's no air. So pollution wouldn't get to the dome.
But you can't have pressure without a container, too.
Oh, my. My rebuttal to that is, okay, fine. You can have, show me, please, the container between the bottom of Mount Everest and the top of Mount Everest. Go. And it always ends in like...
Yeah.
So I am getting some tips on internal chat. Looks like on the debate, Nathan sent a bunch of people to bash Peter and Tony. So if you get a chance, drop by the comments of the MDD, and I'm going to drop the link right there.
Nathan solicited people to bash in the comments.
Yes, apparently.
So classy.
And spammers and, his little army of Derp.
Meanwhile, we say one word against him and he's like, if you insult me, I'm going to leave.
I'm leaving.
Oh, that's so... It's like, okay. But Ryan did a great answer. And on the 2 times that Nathan went like super derp, in that time, and when he said, I just texted James, go back and watch it. Ryan's response was impeccable.
Yes.
Like, impeccable.
Don't care. So, I'm fine.
Ryan, thanks so much. So I left the link here. Go and leave a message of your own. Said that Peter and PhD Tony are great, and they did fantastic, and it was a great debate. And Nathan should maybe think about retiring and potentially getting a job.
It kind of tickles me that my presence and like influence here is starting to make someone of Nathan Thompson's stature feel threatened.
Stature.
Yes.
He's the one who had the Facebook group, as he will never cease to remind us.
Yes, it is a very strange validation. I made Flat Earth Dave run off a really small stream, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so I love myself now."
He was so.
I don't talk to these satanic trolls, he said. As soon as he said, "Hey, we have a guy here who wants to debunk what you said," and his answer was like, "I don't speak to satanic trolls," and I'm going to leave you the link here in the side chat. And then MC Toon came in. We talked a little bit about we refuted a bunch of his claims, talked about the app. It was overall just great. So let me put you over here in the middle. Would you like to read some super chats?
Oh, that's a good idea. I got a few here. Let's see. We got Mark Beiser says, how much extra would it cost to change your return trip to include a stop at Lake Titicaca? As you know, Lake Titicaca is my favorite lake because the name is so funny. I just can't not laugh at it. And well, I've talked to my wife about it, and like she's like, oh, you got to go to Antarctica, and like I'm like, all right, let's go next year. Let's go either to Europe or Lake Titicaca. Which one do you want?
Yeah. I will say Britain does have a lot of funny street names and town names.
Oh, I love the town names.
So crazy. Like,
but
wow.
I got to say, Minnesota's got something on England, because in Minnesota we've got, well, right on the border of Minnesota and Iowa, there's a town called Rake. You know, the thing that you move the leaves around on your yard. And another one down the street from Rake is Scarville. Then up north in Minnesota, you've got Emily, you've got Mound, you've got Cumming. No kidding, Cumming. Anyway.
Did you know that in Minnesota there's I think it's a city called Montevideo, which is the name of my capital city here in Uruguay?
Yeah, Montevideo. My son's cat was picked up from Montevideo.
That's
my wife and I recently drove through a PP township. We were like, no way. They actually named it that. Oh no.
Well, you know who's gonna like that? Dave, allegedly.
Yeah.
Or Santos.
Santos. Oh my gosh.
I will say I'm forgetting the town's name off the top of my head because it's been a while since it was talked about. But like I remember when they were mentioning it on the news that the train had derailed. I was like, why are we talking about a place in the Middle East? You know, and then I actually looked it up. I was like, oh, that's actually a town in the U.S. Like I was confused. I was like, wait.
I'm editing my, since you mentioned the ISS transit, I'm editing my ISS transit that I from August that I haven't gotten to, but I'm putting all of the frames of the video onto one photo so you can see them.
Oh, that's cool.
I'll be done in a minute and we can look. But let me finish. I got another. Bearded Logic says, I'm contemplating starting a conspiracy theory debunking channel. Any tips or suggestions to the panel? What do you think?
Don't get discouraged. It's hard to get it rolling. Lean on find a niche maybe and lean on it. But I think that not getting discouraged at the beginning. It's hard to get to where anyone watches. But keep at it, and if you need a hand promoting it, just I'm always available. We can share it, and getting people to come in and collab with you. That's also usually a way to get things rolling. But yeah, it's hard. But if you enjoy it, it is worth it. It's fun to do YouTube.
I will say, don't wait until you have everything perfectly together to do your first video. Whatever your first video is, in 6 months you'll think, oh, my current videos are so much better. You won't know how to do sound. You won't know how to do, if you're on screen, how to get the lighting right. You're going to have a camera. If you haven't already gotten a really good camera, you're going to look at your camera in a year and say, what the heck, that camera sucks. I can upgrade. Don't try to make your first video perfect and don't have it be the everything. Just go put it out. Whatever it is, go put it out. Don't try to make it perfect. And then the next video, improve one thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. That's basically how it is, just start doing it, like You're gonna start out, everyone starts out a little bad, but over time you learn from mistakes and you improve over time. So.
And there's so much derp to go around the internet, so if you'll find something that you're passionate about.
It's a target-rich environment.
It is.
I'm laughing at some of these comments. Oh, you highlighted that, yeah.
Yes. Clive Wells says, I hear the Flirbs are booking journeys to a town called Jeopardy as they heard that thousands of jobs are in jeopardy.
I don't think Flirps would be attempting to go there. They're very happy to not be employed.
Oh, yeah. Good point. They'd rather be influencers.
Yeah.
No shade to the actual job of being an influencer. But, the wannabe influencers, that's a whole phenomenon.
Yeah, up until they go into a restaurant and be like, "Don't you know who I am? You should give me some free food. Like, do you not know who I am? I have like 2 million followers, and I'll tell everybody about this restaurant if you just give me some free food."
On TikTok.
It's like, oh my God.
I get like nobody's recognized me other than when I went to a rocket launch, which doesn't count because I knew that people were going to be there. I get nervous, like if I'm in a gas station somewhere and somebody looks at me twice, I'm like, I hope they don't. Please don't recognize me, because if they like look at me and then they look away, I'm like, oh, if they recognize me, they're probably a flurf. I don't want that. So like I have a plan. If they call me Mick Toon, they're a flurf.
Oh yeah.
If they call me Mike or Toon or MC Toon, then they're not, and so then we're buddies. So my plan is just if they say Mick Toon, I go, you're a flurf, aren't you? That's it. Yeah. But it's never happened.
It's a telltale sign of because they will say Mick Toon.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
So I never correct them on it, because I like that they self-identify. The only people I correct are Globers.
Right. Yeah. I get that. Isa is back. I'm going to ask you a question, Isa, about Jaybird Max says, whatever happened to JM Truth?
We called him.
You called him. I will. Yes.
We called him. When was it? On Wednesday, and he answered the phone. Craig and I called him. He answered the phone and then hung up as soon as Craig started talking. So bold.
Yeah.
So much courage.
And the my favorite was the voicemail to Arwen.
No, he answered. Arwen answered. And it wasn't a
voicemail. Yeah, the crossbow salesman. Sorry,
it was a crossbow salesman.
So good.
He didn't. I mean, why did he answer? It was like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Right. He answered the phone at 2 a.m. Like nobody that you want to talk to is calling you at 2 a.m.
I was here and I was laughing so hard. The cat was taking a nap in the couch behind me and was looking at me like, what is happening? It was so good.
But
so Ita.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, sorry, go on. Sorry.
There was the other one. Craig left a voicemail for Mark Sargent. that it was saying it was the whoever it was that ESPN that did the commercial for him.
Yes.
He's like, yes, we want to do another commercial. Contact us through the same method we used before. And I don't know. Do you think he's going to do it? I have no idea, but that would be funny if he's like contacting them like, oh, you said we were going to do another one.
Yeah. Ita, you were gone for a second, so let me ask you, what are your thoughts on the open discussion portion of the debate?
Let's see. Well, it got intense. There were some intense moments. I was thinking about Nathan's position where he got very upset about a lot of things. Like, I don't know, like in my debates, I was like, I think we need to have a certain kind of civility and cordiality. I don't think you should attack the moderator. Like, that was really weird. And like I think Ryan fairly called it out, where he was like, "You're threatening me," and I'm like, "I don't care about your threats," and I don't think that's appropriate. I've had people put super chats that were not pleasant to whatever, what they thought my perspective was and stuff like that. That's a part of this debate platform. You have to have a certain kind of cordiality, civility. You have to behave that way. And so some people might ask questions that are very disrespectful, and you're like, okay, I can see that you could be a little snarky with them. There might be a few that might, go to a certain place and you could snark at them. You have that right.
Yeah.
But why would you snark at the moderator whose duty is to read them, because they're paying for the service of the debate? That's just a part of what's going on. I'm like, I don't know. It seemed to me that it was sort of like, you'll have to excuse me. I don't know this person. I'm just saying what I feel about what I heard. It sounded a bit like an ego trip, Yeah. I was like, this is an ego trip here. And even I was thinking about his opening. I'm like, I don't know if that was him in the video where he's walking down the road. I'm like, this seems a little bit of like an ego trip here. And you're like, I'm using this platform to stroke my ego. And I'm like, okay, I mean, that's what you want to do. I thought I understood. I was really thinking deeply about, the governor down under. I was thinking about Dr. PhD Tony, and I was thinking about how he got upset. I mean, you saw him here; he didn't get upset, So there was something that was kind of inappropriate. I think in those kind of spaces, there was a lot of like kind of I hate to say this, but I felt there was a bit of like emotional manipulation, particularly from one side, particularly from one person who was trying to manipulate the space and not really focusing on the points. And that's the vibe that I was getting in this. And I was like, let's focus on what the conversation is. Let's engage the points. And it was like, no, you are hurting my ego. Let me insult you. I'm going to insult you. And I'm just like, you don't need to feel like hurt. Just engage the points. You can engage why you think flat Earth is right. You can believe that it's right. But I just, that's what I felt in the discussion. There was a lot of like posturing. I noticed that Angel didn't really talk too much. Angel was sort of quiet-ish. But I felt Mr. Nathan had a lot to say, more about the panelists than the point, more than the topic.
Yeah. Thank you so much. IT Spin says, not to mention them constantly mocking the camera during closing statements, just so disrespectful. Yeah. And the whole thing, like Nathan was playing with toys. It's just, and then something that happened with Alex Stein yesterday and today with Nathan say, I'm entertainment. Like, people come here for a debate. Sometimes they are entertaining, yes, but you don't have to carry the burden of being the entertainment yourself. You can just be entertaining with good arguments, with a charming personality, but since they can't do any of that,
a charming personality.
Yes. Let me share. Awesome. There we go.
All right.
It's big.
I took this on the 10th of August. And I had taken screenshots of each individual frame of the video, and then just now I stacked them in Photoshop. So there it is.
But why does it look like an X-Wing from Star Wars?
where is the airplane? This is obviously not an airplane. That's not an aerodynamic shape. There's no balloon that you see there. So all of their claims about this are lies. And anybody can do this. The information is free. This was taken with a P1000, so it's not even a camera that flat earthers don't already have sitting in their mom's basement. So.
Oh, that looks so beautiful. I don't get it how they're not amazed by.
Oh yeah.
But I was preparing a debate that didn't happen, and I asked Astronomy Live, "Hey, can you send me some images of celestial objects?" Because always the thing like, "Oh, planets are just lights in the sky," and that kind of derp. So he just sent me some images, and it's just. They're so amazing, and it's the universe is so big and fantastic and kind of like wonderful in a sort of colloquially magical way. I just, how are they not in awe of all of that? It's insane.
So for reference,
yes,
you saw in if you want to put up just quickly again, you can see the sunspots. The sunspots change daily. So it's a fingerprint that you can identify by day of the sun. And when they do their time lapse and they're like, here's the sun with a solar filter. Well, he did not use a solar filter. He used a neutral density filter, not a solar filter. They're different. They're similar, but they're not the same. But the way that you can tell that it's not properly exposed is you can't see the sunspots. If you can see the sunspots, then the sun is properly exposed and you're not seeing glare. So even, and this is important, even with a solar filter, you can still have it improperly exposed. And exposure is how much light the camera is bringing in to the sensor. So that's the litmus test. If you can see the sunspots, then it is a solar filter that's properly exposed. That's all.
All right.
That's a good point.
Thank you so much. That's such a beautiful competition.
I don't think I thought of that before.
I went by your chat to check how everyone is doing, and a username Junk Bon Joey, great name, said, "Max, give us your best Mario impression." And even though I'm not Italian, I'm from Uruguay, I will say it's a me, Mario.
That's cute.
You want a Mario impression? Let's go.
I love that.
Let's go.
That's awesome. So I think I'm a little behind on a couple super chats. Well, you gave me a chance. I didn't read them all.
All right.
One more. Dark Star 4400, who is 100% funding a body cam. So I'm going to have a body cam when I'm awake all the time. Darkstar 4400 says for $5, pressure needs a container. Let them explain weather systems, highs and lows.
Oh, yeah.
They can't.
Tony brought that up, and it's such a good thing. Like you have look at the weather map, you have a high pressure system, a low pressure system. It's just pure nonsense.
We don't claim.
Let me ask you this.
Can I do this quick? We don't claim pressure next to a vacuum. There's no pure vacuum. We claim pressure next to pressure, next to pressure, next to pressure, next to pressure. Everywhere is pressure. Just that there's a varying amount of pressure. And is there any contention about the fact that there is a varying amount of pressure in the air? No. They don't claim that there is no variation in the pressure either. So we're in agreement that there is a pressure differential. And they're just strawmanning the pressure with next to a container thing. We don't or next to a vacuum. We don't claim a perfect vacuum. We claim space is positive pressure.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Now, you said that. Wait, what's the user's name? Darkstar 4400 is going to fund a body cam.
Yes.
Now, what everyone wants to know Are you going to sell the footage like someone we know? Are you going to sell the footage?
Let me say, no, I'm not. I'll make it all available for free for everybody. I am. So what if you don't know, he's talking about Jaren. Jaren is doing a fundraiser to pay for, because he doesn't have the awesomeness of Darkstar 4400 over on, as a fan of Jaren. So Jaren said, hey, I'll do a body cam, but he needs people to help fund it. So I'm in favor of that. I paid $20. I sent Jaren $20 for it. So I'm going to get his footage as well. So I don't see a problem with that. I think do your thing. And Jaren I'm really excited for this. He is trying to put together a 5-day, 24 hours a day photograph of the sun every couple seconds, like every 8 seconds or something. And he's working with a guy that has successfully done something like this before. So the guy is building him a custom, I don't know if it's an Arduino or a Raspberry Pi or something like that, to control the motor on the camera and to control the camera taking the picture. So
using all globe math, right?
Well, it's 15 degrees an hour is what it is. He's just, so it's
okay. So
that's all it is. Yeah.
but very simple globe math.
Yeah.
That's cool. My reasoning behind why I was mocking it is that, okay, you need to finance the body cam. I get that. But even if you just publish the footage on your channel, you'll get the returns from it. Everyone will want to see it.
I don't know if Jaren would, because his goal was initially 1,000. He raised it to 2,000, I think. And so that the first 1,000, I don't know if that was just body cam. But then the I think the second 1,000 is to pay for the camera. Seriously, the $40,000 trip Jaren isn't funding at all. So right. The fact that he's raising 2,000 in fundraising, in crowdfunding, good, but
yeah, I don't know. It struck me as kind of weird. That's why I was mocking it.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, I have a question about this. Like,
yes,
as a person who was studying flat Earth stuff, I'm like, why do you even need to go to, what is it, Antarctica? Like, just go on an airplane. I mean, if the Earth was flat, like you're claiming, like these people are claiming, then it would take forever to get to places, because the distance would be so far if the miles were just, on a horizontal space. You just take a craft and you can see that the Earth is spherical. I mean, this is where I'm just like, I don't know why we need to do anything more than that. If I take the plane to Antarctica, I've already proven it.
Yeah.
It has a lot to do with sociology.
Yes.
Psychology, sociology, yeah.
And psychology of groups, the in-groups, yeah, it's a very, and always, like, we can never disregard the regular response, Isa, but you just made a compelling argument, but have you considered, that is always the thing.
But Hermano, it's the same thing. If we do, what is it called, the final experiment? If we do the final experiment, they're going to say too. They're going to figure out some, loophole to get out of it.
Well, I will say it does put a crack in the response when flat earthers themselves are participating in the experiment and willing to, at least the ones who are honest enough to participate, they are putting themselves out there and saying, we expect this result, and so we're going to go and see. And with them there, literally there to see the experiment themselves, to experience the methodology, it makes it a lot more difficult for them and anyone who respects or looks up to them to use in that case.
Right. And we've seen the cracks start to form as soon as it was proposed that for example, I haven't heard the "we can't go to Antarctica" in a while. Only Dave Wise says it. But again,
Eric
he
Dubay,
rejected that for free.
a couple days ago, Eric Dubay put out a new video saying that nobody can go unless you're a government agent.
But I have a question though.
After he was given a free ticket.
How about if they do go and they see it? Like, when I see these debates, y'all looking at the same evidence, right? But the way that they look at the evidence, they're like, it's like some complete other language. It's some other complete way of looking at it.
Yeah.
I think if they did go, they would just create some kind of narrative, be like, yeah, we're both seeing the same thing, but it's completely different. I'm going to interpret this data in a completely different way. And, you know, it's like, remember when I brought up the Answers in Genesis paper, which I think was really pretty solid in exploring this. This person is a doctor in I think, science.
Astronomy.
Yeah. And he goes and he says, I'm taking a bunch of pictures. Here's a bunch of evidence. What is Nathan going to say? Nathan Thomas, is he going to say, well, my experiments are better? He's not going to give a detailed thing. He's not going to give limitations to his study. He's not going to do that work, right?
He said it tonight. His answer. Mm-hmm. His answer will be, things in the sky don't determine the shape of the ground. That's what that's what the deniers are going to say.
But if you're curious, Toon did a stream not too long ago. Let me see when that was. My browser is going nuts. But I put the link in the side chat where we explored. I mean, because I came in and we had some fun. We explored what potential excuses they could give. And we came up to a great amount of potential excuses. Just like you said, Isa, seeing that they were drunk, that they weren't in Antarctica. Someone said that the whole Antarctica is on rails and they make it spin.
So like, Antarctica is rotating itself at 3,200 miles per hour.
Yes.
And we have to time the trip to land when Union Glacier will be just south of Punta Arenas, because 3 hours later it will be way around the curve.
It's so interesting to hear Will Duffy talk about this, though, because like he's laser focused, and I love that about him. He's like, he thought this through, you know. And so when he looks at those kinds of excuses, he's like, yeah, the crazier the better, you know, because it puts them into yet another realm of insanity where it's yet another I don't know, like realm of insanity that someone new would have to get comfortable with in order to join their movement. It's brilliant.
Toon, that was such a great stream. We had so much fun with that. It was so good. Let me welcome to the stage Ryan. I'm sorry, you wanted to say something?
Oh, yeah. Yes. For those wondering, somebody took. Was it Icy Spin? Was it?
Yes, Icy Spin.
Who's in my live chat right now? Took all of those different excuses that we were guessing Flurfs might say, and built a whole story on it, which included several of the people that had offered these ideas, a whole script. And live during that video, I recorded my reading of it, and I read it cold. I hadn't read through it. And then I put that later, after I got done with that stream, I dropped an independent video of that with no explanation for why this really weird story was coming out of me.
Yes, Icy Spin, he outdid himself with that one. So, Ryan, let me welcome you to the stage.
Hello. I'll try to be as quick as possible, but I've got a few things to cover. I was lucky enough to be on a previous stream of Toons where I sort of snuck in as the useful idiot. But yeah, I just want to say great job from Peter and Tony tonight. I didn't realize, I'd never seen Nathan Thompson. He predates my sort of looking into this. So
lucky.
I didn't realize how unpleasant and just I can't think of the right word, but off-putting he is. But yeah, a few of the things I wanted to say, that the argument about not being able to say
I got to drop off for a second. I'll be right back.
The thing you're on is by looking at the sky. Yes, you could argue that's true, but it will prove that the flat Earth map with the Antarctica around the outside isn't true and cannot be true. So at the very least, it disproves that. If that's all it does. So I think that would be the first thing. I'm trying to think of the other thing I thought of as well. The one thing I noticed as well is at some point, Angel said, "We've never been to the North Pole." And I don't know if anybody else picked up on that.
Yeah.
At some point, he said, "We've never been to the North Pole," which I thought was an odd thing to say, considering most flat earthers say, "Oh, we have been there, but we haven't been to the South Pole." So I sort of wondered what can anybody explain that comment to me?
Yeah, with the lies and contradictions flowing so fast and thick, you really have to triage them. So I did notice it, but I didn't. Yeah, there are some who will say there's like some mystical mountain there or something. That's a whole branch of the rabbit hole of flat Earth conspiracy theories and stuff. So, that's a very good point, a very good observation that's a contradiction between some of them, or maybe in some cases between different cases of the same person saying different things. But yeah, I've heard both of those.
The only time I've heard that is when it's been used to say that like there's a portal there, which is obviously a step beyond what probably the modern day debate audience would accept. The only other thing I think was I noticed that they didn't actually refer to the traditional flat map at all, and I wondered if that was to do with the final experiment, the fact that they stuck to things that didn't invoke that specific map that they've been using for years.
I don't know what might be behind that, but it could have something to do with that, kind of like a way to dodge. The same way when some you are on a debate and they will say, "Oh, but I never gave you my model." It's like, yeah, you don't have a model. But we can make some inferences on just like the title of your beliefs, flat Earth, and you not having a model or not giving me your model, it's very telling. It's not a flex, my guy. So I think we covered a lot of that debate. Peter, you were great. You've been doing great. I've been loving your debates more and more. So let's go around, give our final thoughts, and we'll be on our way tonight. I'm starting with my mom bakes cakes.
All that Nathan needed was his duck suit, and we won.
Thank you so much. Soon might be out for a moment, so let me hand it over to Isa. Final thoughts.
Well, I think something that's super important for me is that we have to overcome the manipulation of faith. Faith is being used as a tool to mask these kind of ideologies and thoughts. And I really like folks like Peter and MC Toon who are going and saying, hey, we're people of faith and we don't want this nonsense. And looking at Answers in Genesis 2, there are a lot of people who just like, this is insane. You're trying to take our faith, you're trying to take our spirituality, and you're trying to use this as a defense for your crazy cultish stuff. And playing the flat earther, I was able to kind of explore what this world looks like, and I think it's the more I've seen, the more I find it's creepy, it's weird, it's strange, and I don't even see the point of it on an efficacious level. If the world was flat, how does that benefit you anyway? What do you get out of it? Does it create empathy and compassion for humanity? Does it actually do anything of value? I don't even see any real translatable value in having the Earth being flat in general. I don't see the value in it. But what I do see is that there is some kind of sociological value of having a community and having this kind of space where you think you're better than other people. And that's really all there is. So you talk, you say a bunch of stuff that makes you sound smart. You say a bunch of stuff that makes you sound smart, and then people believe what you say. And I find that I don't know how that's actually really going to be helpful. Like, I guess you want to have that community where you call yourself Flatzoid and Flat Expert. I mean, and just everything's flat. Like blue. It's a song, Blue Dabba-dee, everything's blue, everything's flat. I don't know. I don't know what the purpose is. I don't know what the purpose of everything being flat is. I like round things personally. I like my head. It's a round thing. I actually like it. But I think we all like
our branding everything that way. You're right.
Oh, you said but. I thought that you said butts. Sorry, carry on. Yes, who doesn't like round butts? Yes, XD Music is correct. No flat asses. Yeah.
I'm just like, I think, I just don't. What I think it is that it's disgruntled people who feel kind of a loss and a lack in their life. And they use this thing to help them. And I feel sadness for people in that way. But they use this type of thing to give themselves value. And I think that's sad. I think that's just a tragedy. And I don't know. It's hard. It's hard every time I see these debates because I'm just like, I don't know what you're doing, bro. Like, you could be doing so much more than trying to say that the earth is flat.
I love the approach you're having of like human empathy. That is so precious.
Oh yeah, Isa is the best. I'm a bit more of an a-hole, but Isa is great. He's so great. Isa, Sir Little Wolf says, I think I found the Christian movie that was talked about. So we're getting the link over to me and we'll share that.
I have seen that movie, but I swear it's been like 25 years or something since I saw it.
Oh,
I was a kid.
Might be up for a rewatch. Eric E., the master of flat earth theory, says flat earth ideas have a bigger problem is that you can do anything with them. Sabine Hosenfelder. Thank you so much for sharing. And I have another message I wanted to read. Sharkley says, I have learned so much from watching Flirt being debunked by Toon, FTFE, and PhD Tony. Yes, that is the only positive thing that I see about Flat Earth. That it has forced me to go back and either go deeper into some knowledge that had been acquired long ago and get a better understanding, or learn other stuff that it's new. But it's a benefit for me, not for the flat earthers. And rebutting one point that Isa said about the community aspect of flat earth, even although it is true that it generates a community, the problem is that community doesn't hold each other accountable, so flat earthers will not call each other out when they flat out lie, when they're just inventing stuff. They won't call people who have very extreme beliefs like racism, discrimination, anti-Semitism, all the isms, all the bad isms, they don't call each other out. In fact, they retro feed each other in sort of like a feedback loop. So I think that's kind of also a bad thing. But yeah, the positive aspect of Flat Earth has been on kind of the global community, the learning to verify stuff for oneself. So yeah, it's a thing. It's a problem. It's a good that they have a community that everyone can find some kind of community, but the side effects of that community, I'm not sure they're that good. So Batman, or who wants to go next? Let's do it like that. Final thoughts before we wrap it up for tonight.
Yeah, I'll go.
No, you go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah,
you came in late.
just to back up what Issa said, I always find it strange when people, flat earthers, try and look for flat earth proofs in the Bible, when my understanding is that a whole part of Christianity is faith. So if the Bible proves that the earth is flat, that removes faith. That proves God exists, which removes the element of faith, which is one of the cornerstones of the religion. So I always find that to be a weird thing to use as proof. And also, what you were saying about the toxic nature of the community. In my sort of sphere of YouTube, I deal with a different community of toxic people who resemble flat earthers in such a similar way that I think the overlap there is no coincidence. It's a little bit different because I deal with media, so I'm dealing with toxicity in something not as quantifiable as science, but then flat earthers don't believe the science anyway, so that's where I think the things overlap. So yeah, you find that these sorts of belief systems, these sorts of cults, do very much breed a community, but not a healthy one, and sometimes a dangerous one. So yeah, I think what you were saying about the racism also present in the things that I try to debunk, and all that sort of thing, and yeah, it's you can sort of see what type of community you have by the worst people in it, I think.
Oh, that's a good assessment, yeah. And we have a lot of Nazis in the flat Earth.
Do you mind?
Yeah.
So sorry. I want to actually pick you. I know that point is so important. There's a lot of anti-Semitism. Like that one guy, he had like the Amish beard. I forgot what his name was. He was debating Ocean.
Yes. Hold on. Ross, Flat Earth, Aussie Jesus, Iron Horse.
Not Iron Horse. It was another guy too. Like he had he had a wife. He said his wife was Chinese, and then he called them a Nephilim.
Was it?
Dusty Nemo.
That's it. He had the Amish beard.
Yeah.
I said he had the Amish beard, but Dustin Nemos was like Nephilim, and then he said all this anti-Semitic stuff, and I'm like, so is this your platform to promote anti-Semitism too? It's like, it's actually really gross. There's a lot of anti-Semitism there. Like I've listened to the debaters and they're like, Jews are running the world. I'm like, Jews are human beings, dude. They're just people like you. There's no difference. They're human beings. Leave Jewish people alone, please.
And I'll say real quick on that is like I've been going on Twitter for the last few months, and my goodness, how many times I see like, Mustache Man did nothing wrong. He was trying to save us. I'm just like, and this is what Elon wants? This is his free speech? Like, okay.
I want to touch on something Brian said about you can tell a lot about a community from the worst people in it. I want to go a step farther and say, like, you can tell even more about a community by the worst people that get celebrated in that community and lifted to positions of power. Because every community is going to have awful people in it if you look hard enough. But not every community is going to reward and celebrate and uplift those people. Some communities are self-regulating to some extent.
And it's the rest of the community's reaction to the bad actors as well.
Yeah, but that was a great point you had.
Ryan, we cut you off. Anything else you would like to say for your final thoughts?
No, just thank you for letting me in. It's been fun, and I wish some flat earthers were a bit braver and willing to challenge what they believed, because this is a very pleasant forum to do it in.
We're really
never seen
we used to get a lot of them. But then they kind of realized they can do their own after shows and they can pat each other on the back, call victory, and call it a day. Because even though we're nice, we push back a lot on their beliefs, and we are all kind of super familiar with the topics. Let me ask you, is that there on your wall? Are those Funko Pops?
They are, yes. My partner and I have a little bit of an addiction to them.
Yes.
And you can't tell what they were, but there's Queen ones up there, and what else have we got? Beetlejuice and Smokey and the Bandit. So that's our side of things.
That's awesome.
We're filming music nerds.
It looked like that to me, and it was great. Sir Little Fox, I'm sorry, I think I fumbled the name. Yeah, Sir Little Wolves, not Fox. Send me the YouTube link for that movie we were talking about. So if you want to check that out, go right ahead. Toon is back. That's great. Let me hand it over to DJ Batman for final thoughts, and then we'll wrap it up. And that's a cute doggy. Which one is that, Toon?
It's Penguin. She just got a bath because they were outside and were muddy. So my wife is like, I need help.
All right, Batman, final thoughts.
Well, coming to you live from above the earth. At the end of the day, it's, I'm all for, believing in a fun conspiracy for the fun of it. I knew the name. I just totally forgot. I'm forgetting what they're called. The things like the Mothman and all that. Cryptics. It's fun to think about that. Ghosts, aliens, and stuff. But I find a lot of people kind of go too far. Where they're just like, check out my footage of an alien. It's actual proof, but it looks like it was shot through a potato. Or, flat earthers being like, well, we're going to run this experiment, and if this happens, it proves the earth is round, and not flat. And then when it comes out, they're like, oh, wait, well, we told that company not to put that in there, but they did it anyway because they were trying to, attack us.
It was a hit piece.
Yeah, it's like, no, you're the one who made it. You're the one who gave it to them. And because people see that you literally debunked yourself, you're like, wait a minute. No, the company was against us, So, I always tell people, like, go ahead and believe in some conspiracy theories. If it's fun, if you're just trying to, because life is boring sometimes. It's fun to think about things and kind of ponder on things and stuff, but you don't want to take it too far. You're on the realm of, the governments are lying to us about the shape of the earth because they're trying to control us. Look at this mountain. Literally, it opened a few minutes ago. There, a giant came out of it. And stuff like that. It's just,
like in X-Files, I want to believe kind of thing.
Yeah. And it's and one thing I'll say is I've been asked this question a lot when people have asked me what's the greatest and worst thing ever invented, and I always say the internet. It's the greatest tool ever made, but at the same time, it's gotten really bad. When it first started, it was great. It was just a lot of us weird people kind of going on there, making fun cartoons, doing weird stuff. And then the normies came in and just started to spread all kinds of bad and misinformation, getting people hurt, and so it's a bad thing at this point. It's still good, but at the same time, it's giving too many platforms to people that are spreading bad information, and people are believing it, and more people are pulling themselves away from the truth. And I always tell people you need to challenge. You need to challenge everything. Even the greatest scientists have said, whatever we say, don't just believe what we say, look into it, do your own research, because we could be wrong, but I would add to it, look at, take anything anybody says and look into it, but don't look in it so much that you start believing in stuff that isn't true. So, have fun, enjoy life. If it's boring, think about aliens, or maybe you saw a ghost, but but look into it. Don't just be like, oh, well, I saw a ghost. Okay, well, look into things of why you might have saw a ghost, So I don't know. It's just, I like listening to flat earthers sometimes, but to be honest, I'd rather watch, MC Toon or Creaky Blinder Simon Dan, and I will say, the last thing I'll say is I kind of like what Creaky's doing with a thing where he's going to be doing his own balloon. He's raising money right now to send his own balloon up with a non fisheye lens camera.
Yeah.
So that they can't say it was a fisheye lens. So But
They will.
but I do like that the people that, that do go after flat earthers are, doing stuff like going to Antarctica, like MC Toon and Simon Dan are doing, and I look forward to that. I like it. I like the fact that they're running their own experiments.
Sorry, it's Dave McKeegan, not Simon Dan.
Oh, I thought Simon Dan said he was going.
He got on the scoreboard by interviewing Bill Duffy. I don't know that he was going though.
I remember him recently making a video saying that he was going.
No,
but I could be wrong.
He was asked early and if he could potentially, and he said he couldn't because of the timing. Okay. He's got young kids, and it's not good for that time of year. Right, it's just before Christmas, busy time of year.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I might have gotten some people mixed up, but I thought I remember him saying he was going.
Yeah,
no,
go to thefinalexperiment.com with dashes between the words. There's a tab that says Antarctica Bound.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah,
you can check up on it there.
All right, but
it's up to date within a day or so usually.
Okay. But at the end of the day, I like that the people that do know the truth, are like, hey, I'm going to do this because, I want to show people. And I do like that Max and other people said that if it doesn't do a complete circle, they'll eat something or shut their channel down or remove videos. Yeah,
I'll eat my Bible from cover to cover on stream and I will stop hosting here. I said it.
Yeah.
Now I can't walk it back. Walk it back. I know it's disrespectful. I know it's unfortunate. I'm sorry, my fellow Christian friends.
I don't find it disrespectful.
It's about the flat earthers.
Just a book. Just paper.
Bible says flat earth. And someone asked me on the spot, like, what would you do? And I was like, oh, man. And I said, okay, what's the biggest book I have on hand? Because the other books I have here, like near the grasp of my hand, are very thin. I have The Man Who Calculated and Pedro Páramo from Juan Rulfo. And I mean, they're not eat-worthy. Like this is a challenge. This is a
that will take like hours to consume after drinking lots of liquid at the same time trying to get it down.
Yeah, I don't find it disrespectful, and I love the Bible. I've read it 12 different times, and I don't find it disrespectful, especially since you're not going to have to do it. That Bible is fine.
That's why I made the bet because at the end of the day, I'm so sure that I know I'm not going to have to do that. So we're good with my Christian friends.
Yeah, I think it's a manipulation of the Bible too. I don't like when I was playing the flat earther. I'm like, the thing is, it's a spiritual text. It's giving a spiritual understanding of how the world is created. And these folks are trying to manipulate it and make it into this scientific argument. I think that it's a fallacious and it's a very dishonest argument to make. And yeah, that's the thing. I'm like, I think that when you look at the authors of the text, I don't think it's what these people are trying to portray. And, they say, well, the text says it. And I'm like, no, what you're doing is you're doing a Texas sharpshooter's fallacy. You believe something already and you're circling a bullseye around it and you're quote mining texts to fit your agenda. It's very nefarious, I think.
Yeah.
I did a whole video on biblical cosmology on my YouTube.
My argument for that, and perhaps you could sort of truth test me on this, is the Bible says that God took 6 days to create the earth, but he was God, so he didn't need to take 6 days. That can't be literal because he's God. He could have created it in no time at all. So it can't be taken entirely as literal.
Yeah. Right. And one last thing I'll say real quick, just because I saw it in Toon's chat, which I thought was funny, which was saying that you're going to need some ranch with that.
All right. So one missing is MC Toon. Final thoughts, and if you want to, if you have any other additional super chats, you can go ahead and do it too, and then we'll wrap it up.
Slithery just said, and this might be for you, Max. Why can't atheists solve differential equations?
Who says they can't?
I don't know.
Because they don't believe in higher powers.
Oh.
Yes. Yes.
And somebody commented, apologies for not remembering, but somebody said that Dubé acknowledged that Lady Blunt in 1904, so 120 years ago, agreed that the sun does do 24 hours above the horizon in Antarctica. So 120 years ago, at least, flat earthers were admitting it. And I can read it out of her book, Zetetic Astronomy. That the midnight sun was seen south was reported by the late Antarctic expeditions. In fact, it was reported that the sailors played cards on deck in full sunlight at midnight about Christmas time. The Belgica was frozen fast in the ice from March 4. Here, let me share it. Might as well.
Yeah, go right ahead.
What am I doing? Let me.
Good evening, people.
Oh, Brenda.
Hi, Brenda. How are you? You came right as we are about to leave.
Okay.
Good to see you.
I was able to pose a question about Dave's app, but he did not respond.
Poor stuff.
Very well.
All right. The sun is represented as well above the horizon so that it could shine down on the sailors upon deck at midnight. And then here we have testimony has now been given that it has been seen, and this testimony has been admitted in Zetetic literature. Zetetic would be flat earthers. Thus proving, speaking generally, that Zetetics are willing to learn and to admit to known facts. But now here's the important thing. Dubé, who has quoted Lady Blunt in the past, did not mention this in the past. Right? I don't know if you read it or not, but anyway, and he says that that there is an explanation for it, that Lady Blunt has an explanation for it. And I'll tell you right now, she does not. I have done it.
Nachiketa?
He did mention that as well. Yep.
Yeah, Nachiketa mentioned this as well as Zetetic Warrior did. And they simply said that since those people stayed flat earthers, that therefore a 24-hour sun simply does not refute the flat earth.
That's a highly illogical position.
So much for thinking for yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Any other final thoughts, Toon, before we send it off?
Thank you, Max, for hosting this. Thank you to Peter and Tony for doing a fantastic job. And thank you to the Flat Earthers for being the object of our ridicule. You have earned it, and may you ever be ridiculed for being ridiculous.
Before I hand it over to Brenda for some final thoughts on the debate, let me ask you, Toon, Dearth or potato? Potato. Always potato.
Always.
I like potatoes in cream. I love that. One of my father's wife, she died, used to make potatoes like sliced in cream, baked. Delicious. Brenda, give us your final thoughts on the debate, and then we'll wrap it up for tonight.
Well, Dearth, potato. Jaren, twice baked potato. There you go.
All right.
Yeah. That's. I don't have a whole lot to say. I was able to get on Flat Earth Fridays and pose a question. Dave was in the audience, and I posed a question about the app leaking private data, but there was no effective response by anybody. I tried, but
wait.
Shoebill was on too, and he did a great job discussing surveying. And apparently Taylor. People might know Taylor from Flat Earth Friday. She's a flat earther, but she's been talking with Jesse Path of Life. Jesse is fantastic, and they have got together and got her a theodolite, and then they're going to walk her through some measurements.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool. But were you aware of the debate happening on MDD? That's why we did
the duck suit. I wish she would have had the duck suit.
Yes. So, everyone, thank you for coming here tonight. Thanks to MC Toon, Peter, PhD Tony, and everyone else on the panel. It has been great. Make sure to do, the social thing is, and send this to a friend, send this to your significant other, go to the corner, yes, the corner of your street, and subscribe to Matters Now on MC2 Live. And that way we can share the love for the channel. Thank you so much. We'll meet you on the next one. Take care, have a good night, and enjoy the weekend.
All right. So, thank you to Max. I've got something to show here. I'll show you this right here. So this is one of those hard cases that we had sitting at work, been sitting there for a long time. So I salvaged it. It was going to get thrown out. So I have modified it. And so this is I don't know if this is going to be a good solution or not, but this is the dip compass. The problem is that it's rather large, and I would need to put it in my carry-on. So if I can have a smaller solution, that might be good. But I took out there's like these little pieces that you can take out to make it fit. So I did that. So the whole thing then comes out, and then I can mount it on here. And then I put a few other things in here, like the thermometer. So it fits. Compass a little level right there. So it fits. But is this the right thing to bring on a carry-on? It's a bit large. It can probably be smaller. So somebody in North Dakota, I think, has said that they might be interested in 3D printing something. A Renth Kuntal, was in the this person was in the Modern Day Debate live chat. But are you right here? Are you here now? I don't see him. Anyway, I don't know. This is really nice. I love this. But is this the right thing for a carry-on? I don't know that. I probably will bring something like this in my checked luggage for other things. So I'm looking at my list of things I want to bring, and it's a lot now. So I might get Axeman, if it's getting blocked, it's because it's against YouTube's rules. You know damn well that you're saying, yeah, Axeman, if you're saying things that are stupid, don't say them. Yeah. So I don't. Let me look back. I don't see any active blocks here of your stuff, Axeman. So, oh, wait a second, Axeman. What is this? What the hell are you talking about, Axeman? I don't want to know. Don't be stupid. Anyway, I'm I'm gonna bring a lot of SD cards, and I don't want to lose them or misplace them. So I'm gonna order an SD card wallet that holds like 16 SD cards. I'm probably going to bring an external hard drive, an SSD, to make backup copies of the data onto. So what are baggage restrictions? Baggage restrictions are, well, the flight that I booked does not include a checked bag, which I'll have to bring at least one, maybe two, maybe more. We'll see what I wind up bringing. I'm figuring it's probably going to be two. So something like this will fit in a bag, but I don't know if I can get this in the bag with even like the clothing that I need to bring, because there's a lot of clothing that has to go with. So that's why I'm thinking it might be two. But anyway, so I'm bringing a lot of stuff. That's the thing. And some people suggested, well, bring a light meter, bring a barometer, bring a multi-purpose barometer, thermometer, magnetic, whatever. I don't know. 88 per pound. What? I don't think it's that much. I think it's 35 per pound. So between Punta Arenas and Chile, I get one check bag as part of that flight, and anything extra is a certain amount per pound. So that needs to be strategic. Like that first check bag, I need to, and it has a limit, so I need to put into that one as much as I can. And then in the second one, it's per pound, so I need to minimize that. So I can send you a rocket to hide in your luggage. It will be 2.8 meters long, 280 millimeters diameter. Yeah, that sounds great. Sounds really, really great. Axeman, typically people that claim to be truthers do not like the truth. So when Axeman says telling the truth is not allowed, you're probably not telling the truth. You're probably lying, and you're just not smart enough to realize that you're lying. So, cry a river. It's probably something that full well isn't going to be looked upon favorably by YouTube. So, anyway, what's the magnetic declination at Union Glacier? I don't know that. So that's one of the things I probably am going to try to do. I'm going to try to determine which way is due north. Right, I can do it with a GPS. Right, we're bringing a standalone GPS, so I can figure out which way is due north, using that. And then I want to try to figure out, without using GPS, which way is due north, and then which way the magnetic declination is there, by how much. So that's what I'm trying to do. I don't have a great way without using the globe direct, like without using GPS, without using like just new methods kind of to determine due north. Like, so how did the first explorers in Antarctica figure out which way the cardinal directions were? Right, if the sun was up the whole time, you can't say, well, when the sun touches the horizon and when the sun untouches the horizon sometime later, bisect that time in half. We've got the sun is at 34 degrees, but it's at the highest, and 13 degrees at the lowest, but it's a sine wave. So it goes, an hour, 2 hours with very slight changes in elevation. So how do you, get that exact position? So, anyway, the top part of the southern crux points to north. How can I do that? How can I figure that out when the sun does not set? I won't see it. Think of, right? This is a challenge. Some people are like, oh, you should do some celestial navigation when you're in Antarctica. I can't. I mean, I can off the sun, but I can't see the stars, and the moon will be below the horizon the entire time. So if anybody knows how I can precisely, I will have a sextant, how I can precisely measure due north without using like modern stuff, doing it the way the early explorers did, I'd love to know, and as long as it's something that I can perform with the kind of tools I can bring. So anyway, yeah, GPS, of course. Anyway, that's it. I'm gonna wrap up here again one more time. Thank you to Max, and I think we need a little. Are you hungry? Has anybody got a little? Is your tummy rumbling a little bit? So, Ian says, could you plot the shadow from a sundial for an hour around solar noon, midnight, to find the maximum minimum? Okay, that's easier to measure. If you've ever tried to measure a shadow, it's got a fuzzy edge from a pole. So it's a little bit, because of diffraction, It's a little bit imperfect, but that might do it. Writing on the ground is a challenge because guess what? The ground is ice. The ground is freaking ice. So anyway, that's for a different time. Do you like the, my mom gave me this shirt a while ago, and for a while it didn't fit me. For some reason it grew, just sitting in my drawer, it grew. So I can wear it. Anyway, everybody, we'll see you. I'm going to be next Tuesday. I'm going to be on somebody's Twitch channel, live streaming both here and there at the same time. Look forward to that. We'll see you then.
Yes, it is kind of interesting. SpaghettiOs. SpaghettiOs. It's a little cold out tonight or this afternoon. Mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes. SpaghettiOs. SpaghettiOs. I do the research and the experiments. Here's my little character. Celery. Celery. La 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 la. La 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 la. Tip me over and hear me shout. Three little pigs. Blah blah blah. Ramble. Flattest highway in North America. SpaghettiOs. SpaghettiOs. That's kind of weird. Hopefully Cheese Whiz is on sale.